Hi, everyone. I'm back again. I'm just going to wait to see if the audio is working. If someone could just confirm in the chat, that would be amazing. Yay, it's working. Okay, excellent. I'm going to have to do my preamble again because I had to delete the previous video. So if you've just joined in now, welcome. Had a bit of a false start just before, but we are in the Mercury pre-shadow period, and I'm a Gemini rising and a Virgo moon. So Mercury retrogrades always hit me from every which angle. So a bit of housekeeping to begin. First of all, thank you for all of you who have patiently waited for me to return back to CAISTROLOGY. I spent 4 months abroad, and I got back in late October, but unfortunately, when I was in Greece, in the motherland, I had my laptop stolen, so I had to order a new one before I could get back to filming. So that's why there's been a little bit of a delay. But again, I thank you for your patience. Today, I'm going to be covering the horoscopes for December 2023 for all 12 signs. You'll be able to watch for your ascendant, sun, and moon sign. I do always recommend that you start off with your ascendant sign because it is, generally speaking, the most accurate overall. Your sun sign horoscope will tell you about your career and your big goals and dreams for the future. And your moon sign horoscope will relate to your relationships, your family life, your emotional health and well-being, as well as property and living circumstances. So what I'm going to cover today will be Venus transiting the sign of Scorpio. Venus entered Scorpio today, and it will be there until almost the very end of December. I'll also be looking at the new moon in Sagittarius on the 12th of December, as well as Mercury retrograde, of course. So on the 13th of December, Mercury will station retrograde in Capricorn. And then on the 23rd of December, it will retrograde back into Sagittarius, and it will be direct once more on the 1st of January. And I'm also going to have a look at the full moon in Cancer on the 27th of December, and I will briefly touch on the Mars-Neptune square, which is occurring on the 28th/29th of December. Also, just as I've restarted this video, someone has started mowing their lawn outside. I really hope that that's not coming through in the video, but if it is, I apologize. Of course, there's nothing I can do about that. And one last thing before I get into the horoscope for Aries is that my private readings are still closed, and they will be closed for the rest of the year. So I'll be reopening my CAISTROLOGY services sometime in the new year, but I will make an announcement once I've reopened my bookings calendar. It's likely that will occur around Christmas time. Okay, so just hang tight if you're looking for a private reading. Those will be available next year. Okay, so without further ado, actually, there is further ado. Just a couple more things. One, captions will be available about 24 hours after this video airs, so please be patient with that. And the second thing is timestamps will be added as soon as possible once this video is over. But if you are able to help out by commenting the timestamps below in the comment section, I would really, really appreciate that. It just makes it easier for me and then easier for everyone else. Okay, so without further ado, for real this time, let's start off with Aries. Aries, sun, moon, and risings for the month of December. Okay, so on the 5th of December, Venus will enter the sign of Scorpio, which means it will be transiting your 8th house, and it will be there until the last couple days of this month. So wherever Venus goes, she adds some sort of blessing to that house, or things go well with respect to the matters of that house. So the 8th house rules over intimacy, sex, mutual resources, deep and profound healing, anything to do with the occult, anything esoteric in nature. So with respect to your sex life and intimacy, you can experience deeper intimacy with your partner or with another person. You may actually start new sexual relations with another person, or your sex life in general could improve. And just generally speaking, you may experience a deeper level of intimacy in your close personal relationships. So maybe you feel more inclined to open up about what's going on for you on an emotional level. The 8th house rules over your mutual resources. So you may receive financial help from another person. You may have access to another person's resources. That doesn't just have to be financial. Someone could be helping you out, lending you things. You yourself may share your personal resources and finances with someone else. And I say this because Venus rules over your 2nd house. On a different note, if you're in a relationship, your partner may receive a bonus or some sort of increase in salary, or maybe they're just earning more money for that 3-4 week period of time. Now, like I said, the 8th house rules over the occult and anything esoteric. So you could develop a deeper interest in occult matters and esoteric topics. You may even receive some sort of reading. So this could be from an astrologer, from a tarot reader, or maybe even like a Reiki healing. And this could provide some sort of peace or some kind of emotional healing for you. And it doesn't just have to be emotional. The 8th house is connected to healing as it is. So you may just find that that some kind of health matter that you have been struggling with takes a turn for the better. Now, on the 12th of December, there will be a new moon in Sagittarius at 20 degrees in your 9th house, and it will actually be conjunct Mars at 13 degrees Sagittarius. This is relevant because Mars is your ruling planet. So new moons indicate a new chapter or a new beginning, and this relates to 9th house matters. So the 9th house rules over education, travel, religion, and spirituality, your belief systems in general, legal matters, as well as publishing. So there may be a new chapter starting there. Maybe you are enrolling in a new course. Maybe you're deciding to study abroad. There could be some kind of unexpected opportunity for you, whether this is you enrolling in some sort of higher education course or a college, or perhaps an opportunity for you to teach. Now, like I said, the 9th house is connected to travel. So you may decide that you want to plan a trip or book a ticket to go on a holiday. It doesn't necessarily need to be a holiday. This could be related to work matters. So that could be the purpose of your travel. Now, with this new moon, like I said, it's at 20 degrees, and this is the Scorpio degree. So there could be something shocking about this new chapter that's taking off, or something unexpected, or it could be connected to some sort of radical transformation. So this could certainly be the case when it comes to your religious or spiritual beliefs, or your belief systems in general. So you may do a bit of a 180. For example, if you were, if you've always been an atheist, or if you've been an atheist for a really long time, you could discover some sort of new religious chapter, or some sort of religious chapter could be starting in your life, or spiritual chapter. So maybe you're interested in religion, maybe you're learning about it. And of course, the opposite could be true as well. If you've been religious all your life, or for however long, you may suddenly become more spiritual instead of religious, or you may identify as an atheist. Now, like I said earlier, the 9th house is connected to legal matters and the legal system. So there could be legal proceedings that are commencing around this time. Again, it's a new moon, so it's a new chapter, it's a new start somehow. And because it is conjunct your chart ruler, which is Mars at 13 degrees, which is the Aries degree, I do actually see this as you being the initiator of this new chapter. Okay, so moving along, on the 13th of December, Mercury will station retrograde in Capricorn at 8 degrees, and it will be retrograde in Capricorn until the 23rd of December, at which point it will shift to Sagittarius. So with Mercury retrograde in your 10th house, this indicates that your career is going to be really highlighted for you. And if not career, this could be your leadership responsibilities, as well as your status and how you're known, just generally speaking. And I'll get into that in a moment. So Mercury retrograde in the 10th house can indicate that you are returning to a former workplace, or perhaps you applied for a job and you were unsuccessful and now an opportunity comes back up. You could just be returning to the workforce. You could be extending your leave if you are on some type of leave already. A former boss may come back during this time. And this can also indicate that there may be a restructuring taking place in your workplace. So maybe there's an announcement about the structure of your workplace, who's in which position, maybe certain elements of your organization are coming together as one department. There could be changes to the system and how things are done at your work. Now, on a different level, Mercury rules over your 3rd house and your 6th house. So this could indicate that there are changes to your contracts. So maybe you are up for renewal, or maybe you want to renegotiate the terms of your contract. For some of you who have been in retirement, you may be coming out of retirement, or if you had been considering retiring, you may decide to change the dates around, or the timeframes, or the timeline that you had in mind. The 10th house rules over your public image, just generally speaking. So you may be really rethinking how you want to present yourself, and you could be undergoing changes when it comes to your rank or your title. And the 10th house is what you're known for. So you could be reconsidering how you want to be known in society, what you want, what kind of legacy you want to leave behind. Okay, so on the 23rd of December, Mercury is going to shift back into the sign of Sagittarius in your 9th house. Obviously, we covered the 9th house at the very beginning. So once again, we're looking at travel, education, your religious and spiritual beliefs, your beliefs about how the world works in general, and also legal matters. So Mercury retrograde here indicates that there may be changes to your travel plans, changes to your itinerary, where you want to go, the dates of certain trips that you'd had in mind. You may need to cancel holidays. You may just be getting a credit note or using up a credit note or voucher. You may finally be going on a trip that's been delayed that you had booked previously. And for others of you, you may be reconnecting with friends or colleagues who live overseas. So with the 9th house ruling over education, you may be going back to school, you may be changing subjects, there may be some changes to deadlines and due dates, whether this is to do with your thesis, or perhaps even when you're meant to be starting your university program or college program or whatever it is. If you are actively involved with enrolling in a new course or a new school or college or university, there may be some complications with the enrollment process. Maybe you filled out the application incorrectly. They may have lost it. This is just regular Mercury retrograde stuff, guys. So it's nothing to freak out about. It just means that a little extra effort is going to be involved here. I forgot to mention that with the new moon in Sagittarius, you may actually be applying for permanent residency, or perhaps this is to study at a school in another country. Maybe you're applying for citizenship. And so perhaps this Mercury retrograde period in Sagittarius is connected to that application process. Now, on the 27th of December, there will be a full moon in Cancer at 4 degrees in your 4th house. So the 4 degrees is actually the Cancerian degree. So it's in Cancer, in the 4th house at 4 degrees. So that means that for you Aries individuals, there's some sort of focus on your property and living circumstances. If not that, then it's your family life. For many of you, it could be both. So some of you may be buying a property, or you could be selling your property around this time. You could be securing a property. So maybe you are having your rental application accepted. On a different note, because this full moon is going to sextile Jupiter in Taurus at 5 degrees in your 2nd house and trine Saturn in Pisces at 2 degrees in your 12th house, you may actually receive some sort of financial help or support towards going towards your property and living circumstances, or maybe someone is allowing you to stay at their place. Now, because the 4th house and Cancer rules over family, this indicates that there may be some sort of peaceful resolution with a family member, or perhaps it's someone that you live with. On a different note, there could be some blessing that takes place in your mother's life, or this could be someone that you take care of, whether this is an elderly family member, perhaps this is your children, or one of your children. And for others of you, this could indicate that there's a new baby in the family. So maybe around this time, you or your partner is giving birth, or maybe you're becoming a grandparent. Now, lastly, the 4th house does rule over your emotions. So for some of you, you could just be experiencing peace on an emotional level. So maybe you're feeling more settled, or maybe you're making peace with things that have occurred in your childhood or in your past somehow. Now, lastly, on the 28th or the 29th of December, depending where you live in the world, Mars in Sagittarius in your 9th house is going to square Neptune in Pisces in your 12th house at 25 degrees. And Mars will also be conjunct Mercury retrograde at 23 degrees. I'm not going to spend too much time looking at this transit, but I just want you to know that Neptune will be forming a grand trine with the moon in Cancer at 28 degrees and Venus in Scorpio at 28 degrees. So I would say that this aspect is going to not be as difficult as it would ordinarily be, because there is that support coming through with the moon and with Venus. In a nutshell, we've got some sort of conflict occurring between the 9th house and the 12th house. So this could be confusion about your education plans or your travel plans, maybe your belief systems, whether this is how the world works, your spiritual beliefs or your religious beliefs are thrown into question. But I wouldn't overthink things. Certainly don't allow other people to try to influence you emotionally when it comes to your decisions about travel or education, or even just your vision for the future, because the 9th house rules over that. On a different note, if you have to make a decision about travel or education, or even legal matters, if the decision is not imminent, if you don't need to make it straight away, you may want to just buy yourself a little bit more time. Of course, I'm not qualified to give any sort of legal advice, but just generally speaking, Mars square Neptune can indicate trying to force action and just not seeing results materialize, which can be quite frustrating. So the good news is, right at the end of the month, Chiron is going to station. Wait, is this at the end of the month? Yes, on the 27th of December, Chiron will station direct in Aries at 15 degrees. So this indicates that you can experience some sort of positive step in the right direction when it comes to knowing what's right for you and just trusting in yourself and trusting that the path that you're on is the right one. So that was for Aries, Sun, Moon, and risings. I'm now going to move on to Taurus. My tea is probably cold, but let's see. It's not, but it's lukewarm. Okay, so this is for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and risings. I myself am a Taurus Sun, so I always love doing the Taurus horoscope. So on the 4th or the 5th of December, depending where you live in the world, Venus is going to enter the sign of Scorpio. As it stands right now, Venus is in Scorpio. So as I'm filming this, okay, so with Venus transiting your 7th house until around the 29th of December or the 30th of December, there is a heavy focus on love, romance, as well as your friendships and even client relationships as well, because the 7th house rules over all of those things. So wherever Venus transits, it can bring some sort of peace or harmony to that house. And Venus naturally is associated with the 7th house. So Venus loves to be in the 7th house. So on the love and relationship front, some of you may meet someone new, romantically speaking, or if you're in a relationship already, you may be very focused on your partner. Something positive may happen in the life of your significant other. And if there's someone that you've, sort of had a crush on, or things are just in the early phases of that relationship or that connection, let's say, your interest in them can really deepen. Okay, so you may have much deeper feelings for this other individual than you expected, or perhaps things go from a very lighthearted and superficial sort of place where it's just in the beginning phase to that deeper connection, and you may experience more intimacy with your partner. Okay, on a different note, for those of you who are in a relationship, your relationship with your significant other can just improve across the board. So, as I said before, the 7th house rules over your friends. There are a few, the 3rd house, the 7th house, and the 11th house are all connected to friends. The 7th house rules over your personal one-to-one relationships. So there may be big focus for you on your personal one-to-one relationships, friendships, I should say. You may actually make some new friends. Because Venus rules over your 6th house, which is Libra, and it's moving into the 7th house, you may have to actively resolve issues in your friendships, but for the most part, I see this as a positive transit, especially because Venus is your ruling planet. So you are personally directing your focus to these relationships. On a different note, the 7th house rules over your clients as well as business partnerships and collaborations. So collaborations with other people could go well. There may be more opportunities to collaborate with others over this 3.5-week period. Your relationship with a business partner can improve. You can see there being more clients, or perhaps simply put, more positive interactions with your clients. And for others of you, you may be seeking out professional services, and this could be related to legal matters because the 7th house is a legal house. And on a different note, you yourself may be offering a new set of services which are received very well. Now, on the 12th of December, there is a new moon in Sagittarius at 20 degrees in your 8th house, and it's going to be conjunct Mars at 13 degrees. So the ruler of the new moon is Jupiter, and Jupiter is actually going to be in Taurus in your 1st house at 6 degrees, trining Mercury in Capricorn, and Jupiter will be opposite Venus which is your ruling planet, in 9 degrees in Scorpio. I know that's a lot of information, but the reason I'm mentioning it is because this isn't just any old new moon where it's like, oh, it's in a fire sign. Like, what does this possibly have to do with me as a Taurus? Well, a lot, because Jupiter's in your first house and it's opposing your own ruling planet. So some of you may be combining your mutual resources with another person. You may be setting up a new financial arrangement with another person, or this could be to do with your resources. The 8th house is connected to anything occult and esoteric in nature. So you could be investigating something new. You could be taking your studies in esoteric matters or occult topics to a much deeper level. And this could indicate that you want to teach, because we've got Jupiter, which is the planet which rules over teachers, opposite Venus at 9 degrees, which is the Sagittarius degree. So for others of you, something that you understand on a spiritual level or at an intuitive level that you have learned about may be put into practice. So you may actually have life experience with these things. So just as an example, maybe you've studied tarot, or you're you've had a lot of exposure to tarot, and now you're actually purchasing your own tarot deck, or maybe you're giving a reading to someone else or to yourself for the first time. On a different note, the 8th house is associated with healing. So some of you could be embarking on a new and profound healing journey. This could be a real new chapter for you. Maybe you're working with an acupuncturist. Oh my God, Mercury retrograde. Given that the new moon is conjunct Mars, you may engage the services of a Reiki practitioner or some kind of healer. Perhaps you yourself will be starting a new chapter where you are becoming a healer and you are providing these healing modalities to other people. Lastly, the 8th house is connected to intimacy and sex. Okay, Taurus. So this indicates that for some of you, there may be a new sexual relationship that is starting. You may be trying new things in the bedroom. Your preferences may change in that department. And I say this because the new moon in Sagittarius is to try something different, but at 20 degrees, which is the Scorpio degree, this may be something that's quite a departure from what you're normally into. On a different note, though, this could just be a new level of intimacy that you are experiencing with your significant other, or with someone that you are romantically or sexually involved with. So, Taurus, looking at Mercury retrograde in Capricorn, which is occurring on the 13th of December. So Mercury will be retrograde in Capricorn at 8 degrees in your 9th house until the 23rd of December, at which point it will retrograde back into Sagittarius. So obviously I've already covered what the 9th house rules over. Sorry, lost my train of thought. But to recap, we're looking at travel, education, religion, spirituality, your belief systems, legal matters, and also potentially publishing. So Mercury retrograde is all about rethinking, revising, revisiting, pivoting, making changes, unexpected delays and obstacles cropping up, miscommunications and misunderstandings. So all of those things could pertain to those aforementioned topics. Maybe there are changes to your travel plans, your itinerary, the dates that you want to travel. You may need to cancel a trip. You may finally be going on a trip that was cancelled or delayed. You could be reconnecting with friends or colleagues overseas. With Mercury ruling over your 5th house, this could even be someone that you were romantically involved with who lives abroad. On a different note, you may be going back to school, or you could be changing subjects. You could be changing your thesis. Your mentor, if you have one, could be changing teachers. could be changing as well. And there may be issues with your enrollment applications. So there could be a delay, your application may go missing, or maybe you didn't fill it out correctly. Many of you Taurians will be changing how you think and how you see the world. And I say this because Mercury rules over how you think, but the ninth house is connected to your belief systems. So your spiritual beliefs could be shifting. Your religious beliefs may be changing. On a different note, some of you may be appealing a court case. You may be going back to court again. There could be changes to the dates of court case proceedings, or you could be reaching out to a lawyer that you used to engage the services of for legal advice. And like I said before, the ninth house is connected to publishing. So you may be rethinking where you want to get your work published, or there could be changes to your publishing agreements. That's about it for Mercury retrograde in the ninth house. Actually, one more thing to add is that the ninth house rules over your vision for the future. Where do you see yourself going? What do you have planned? The ninth house rules over how optimistic we are. So you could be rethinking how you envisage your future, how you talk about your future, and your plans could be changing, especially if they're connected to your love life, children, and your business. If you have your own business, or if you want to own your own business. And I say this because Mercury rules over your fifth house, which rules all of those matters. So on the 23rd of December, Mercury will enter the sign of Sagittarius in your eighth house. So it will be retrograde there until the 1st of January. So it's going to station direct at 22 degrees Sagittarius at the very start of next year. So let's have a look at Mercury retrograde in the eighth house. This indicates that you could be reconnecting with someone that you used to be involved with intimately or sexually. You could be reconsidering your sex life, especially if you have multiple sexual partners, or maybe you were thinking about going celibate, or maybe if you've been celibate, you may be breaking away from that. On a different note, for those of you who are in an intimate relationship with another person, you may be becoming more vulnerable with them. Or some of you may simply be having epiphanies or realizations about former relationships or former situationships. Now, with the eighth house ruling over mutual resources, your significant other's financial situation may change. There may be changes to their salary, to their income. There may be delays on them receiving their income or money that they were expecting to come in. On a different note, with Mercury ruling over your fifth house, there could be changes to your child custody arrangements. Also, there could be changes to contracts that you have with other people with respect to your shared investments. Or it could just be that the time is here for renewing the renewal process of certain investments, or perhaps you were just moving money around when it comes to your mutual resources that you share with other people. On a different note, the income from your own business could be changing. So you could receive money that's owed to you from clients. You could be reconsidering your pricing structure if you own your own business. Money from sales or deals that you had done a while ago could be landing in your bank account. And for others of you, if you had pushed the pause button on certain avenues through which you earn income, these could be resuming. So just as an example, I haven't been doing readings for a really long time, but also I haven't been doing my videos on YouTube, which means that the revenue that I was earning from my YouTube videos stopped for several months, but I will be I will be earning revenue once again during this Mercury retrograde period. So you can see how if you push the pause button on certain income streams, then you can resume those. And obviously I'm giving a personal example because I'm a Taurus and you guys are Taurians. So lastly, with this one, you could be returning to certain occult studies or esoteric studies. You could be going back to a healer or getting another reading from a tarot reader or an astrologer or a psychic or someone that you've seen before. Old wounds may be reopened during this time, but that's only for you to be able to go back and revisit those and heal them. Okay, so on the 27th of December, there will be a full moon in Cancer at 4 degrees in your third house. So full moons indicate the ending of a chapter or the closing out of a cycle. So with this occurring in your third house rules over short-term education courses and qualifications like diplomas, licenses, apprenticeships, and so on and so forth. So you may be concluding a unit in an area of study or a certain level of learning. On a different note, you could be completing your entire course, so you may be fully qualified now, or you may successfully receive a license for something. Now, because this full moon is occurring in Cancer and at 4 degrees, which is the Cancer degree, this could actually pertain to property, farming and agriculture, caregiving services, whether this is for the elderly, for people with special needs and disabilities, or for newborns. And this could be to do with even nursing or midwifery. On a different level, the third house rules over communications and writing pieces. So you could be finishing up building a new website, launching a social media account. You could be closing a social media account or platform. You could be releasing certain things on YouTube or on your website, or some type of content creation or presentation. On a different note, you could be selling your vehicle or procuring a new vehicle, as this is in the third house. And the third house is also associated with friends and siblings and extended relatives. So you could be receiving help or some sort of assistance from a friend or a relative, or perhaps someone close to you is receiving good news in their life. So lastly, this full moon does have favorable aspects to it. So we've got the full moon in Cancer sextiling Jupiter in Taurus in your first house and trining Saturn in Pisces in your 11th house. So even though the full moon's in Cancer, because it's making this really close sextile to you or to us as Taurians, this indicates that there's some sort of blessing coming in thanks to Jupiter. Okay, there's something that's received well, something that we can be proud of, something that fills us with confidence. Okay, so I'm personally really looking forward to this full moon in Cancer as a Taurus myself. Okay, so then on the 28th or the 29th of December, depending where you live in the world, Mars in Sagittarius in your 8th house is going to square Neptune in your 11th house, but we've got Neptune forming a grand trine with the moon in Cancer and Venus in Scorpio. So I'm not going to focus on this transit for too long because we're nearly 40 minutes deep and I haven't even finished the second sign. But ultimately, this can indicate that there's maybe confusion when it comes to where you stand with certain friends. You may experience a falling out with some friends. There could be some unforeseen changes coming into your long-term goals and dreams. Perhaps something didn't quite go to plan with these long-term goals and dreams. And maybe some of you were just experiencing old insecurities about friendships. So those could be flaring up. Maybe you have fears about your path and how to move forward. The good news is, though, that with Mars square Neptune, things aren't always as bad as they seem, especially if these are insecurities and fears that you have. just because you feel them and they feel very real, it doesn't mean that they are real. And certainly a hallmark of this aspect of the Mars Neptune square is things not being as they seem, things being different to how they appear. So just take things with a grain of salt at this point in time. Lastly, at the very end of the month, Jupiter is going to station direct in Taurus at 5 degrees. So something that you've been working on really hard for the last 5 months could be coming to fruition. This could be some kind of blessing that pertains to travel, education, or maybe just feeling more positive, feeling more confident. A new chapter or a new start could finally be moving forward in your life. And that is especially the case if you are a Taurus at 5 degrees, or honestly, anywhere between sort of 2 degrees and 8 degrees. For me personally, I've got my chart ruler Mercury at 5 degrees Taurus. So I'm looking forward to this one. Thank you, Taurus. That's all I have for you for December. I'm going to move on to Gemini. And let me just take a little tea break. I am going to try and speed things up. My goal is to do 10 minutes per sign. That never really works out for me, but I'm going to give it a go. So Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Risings on the 4th or the 5th of December, depending where you live in the world, Venus is going to enter the sign of Scorpio. As it stands, Venus is at 0 degrees Scorpio right now as I'm filming this video. So Venus will be transiting your 6th house until the 29th or the 30th of December. And wherever Venus goes, it brings some sort of blessing or harmony or peace or perhaps even enjoyment to that house, which is good because the 6th house is typically not what anyone would consider the house of luxury or things that we enjoy. Nevertheless, the 6th house is associated with health, work, debts, habits, routine and routines, even legal advice, legal matters, and just organization and decluttering in general. So Venus traveling through your 6th house can bring some kind of blessing to your health, or perhaps this is to your exercise regime. You can have better luck with sticking to certain exercise regimes and health regimes. This indicates that you could actually be enjoying it. With Venus traveling through your 6th house and the 6th house ruling over work, you could be enjoying your work. You could be getting along well with your co-workers, with clients. There may be parties that are occurring in your workplace. Maybe you're getting to knock off work a little bit earlier than expected during what they call the silly season. And for others of you, this can just indicate that work is going well. On a different note, with the 6th house being associated with debts, if people owe you money, they may be returning that money to you or returning certain possessions or resources to you. On a different level, because Venus rules over the 12th house, if you owed someone else money, they may just say, hey, don't worry about it, or they may reduce the amount that they may reduce the figure that they are expecting from you. Okay, so if you owe someone $1,000, maybe this person is saying, hey, just pay me back $200, that'll do. On a different note, some of you could be receiving legal advice. Maybe this is free legal advice. Maybe there is a discount, or perhaps you're receiving advice which means that you don't need to go to court, or maybe there is some positive news that you're receiving with respect to a legal matter. Lastly, you may just be organizing, decluttering, tidying up, and organizing things around the home or around the house. And Venus rules over your 5th house, which represents owning your own business. So with the ruler of the 5th going into the 6th, this indicates that you could be cleaning things up with respect to your business and maybe organizing things a little bit better. I hope that's the case for me as Gemini rising. Anyway, Um, one thing I wanted to mention before I move on to the new moon in Sagittarius is that we are in the Mercury retrograde pre-shadow period. So Mercury retrograde stuff may just already be happening for you guys before we even get there on the 13th. It certainly is for me. So on the 12th of December, there will be a new moon in Sagittarius at 20 degrees, and this will be, I can't believe this, since the beginning of the video, like this whole video, people outside have been like mowing their lawns, cutting things down, and now I can hear someone like hammering away. Again, I really hope that that is not coming through on the video, but I would really appreciate your patience and understanding if it is. Hopefully that cuts out soon. But again, Mercury retrograde stuff. So on the 12th of December, we've got the new moon in Sagittarius at 20 degrees in your 7th house. The 7th house rules over love, relationships, as well as your personal one-to-one connections and relationships, whether this is with business partners, people that you collaborate with, or even friends. So new moons indicate a new chapter starting in your life. A new chapter is beginning in one or more of these areas. For some of you, a new relationship could be starting, or there could be significant changes to your existing relationship. And I'm saying this because the new moon at 20 degrees ties in Scorpio energy, because 20 degrees is the Scorpio degree. So there could be an unexpected surprise or a radical transformation of your relationship. Can you guys hear that? Can someone just, oh, you don't hear it. Okay, thank God. Sorry. Sorry, guys. So with this new chapter starting with your relationship, maybe things are being taken to a next level or a different level really, really quickly. It could come out of the blue. It could be something that you weren't anticipating. It doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's just that, you know, this new chapter that's beginning is one that you couldn't have seen coming, or it takes off in an unusual way. The good news is that the ruler of the new moon is Jupiter, and it's making a trine to Mercury, which is your ruling planet. Okay, so the ruler of the new moon trining your ruling planet means somehow you're benefiting from this. Somehow you are going to be welcoming in this new start or this new chapter. On a different note, for those of you who are in relationships already, it could just be that there's a new chapter starting in the life of your significant other. If you're single, you may decide that you just don't want to date anymore. You're done with online dating. You want to go through a period of just focusing on yourself. The reverse could be true, where some of you may have not been on dating apps or have not just been putting yourself out there, and you're like, you know what, it's time for me to, you know, get back on the horse. On a different note, the 7th house rules over services that you offer and services that you engage in. So you may be offering a new set of services yourself, or you could be seeking out the services of another person. With the 7th house ruling over clients and business partners, you may be going into business with another person. There may be a new collaboration on the cards, or with your existing business partner, you could be making big changes to your business and taking it in a new direction. So a new chapter could be beginning on that front. And for some of you, there may be an opportunity to travel for work. Now, it could be occurring within 4 weeks from the new moon in Sagittarius, or this could be something that occurs 6 months down the track when we see the full moon in Sagittarius. Lastly, the 7th house rules over friends. So you could be making new friends, or you could be going into business with a friend or planning a trip with a friend. And on the 13th of December, Mercury is going to shift into the sign of Sagittarius. Okay, so it's going to be, did I say the 13th? I meant, guys, I've completely bamboozled myself. We're wrapping up the new moon in Sagittarius. And now on the 13th of December, we're looking at Mercury retrograde in Capricorn at 8 degrees in the 8th house. You guys are Geminis yourself, so please just bear with me with all this Mercury retrograde stuff that's going on. Mercury retrograde in the 8th house indicates that there is a focus on your intimate sex life, your mutual resources, anything to do with healing, the occult, and esoteric topics and matters. So some of you may be reconnecting with someone that you used to be involved with in an intimate way. You could be rethinking your sex life. You could be opening up and becoming more intimate with your significant other or with someone that you are involved with, intimately speaking. You could be revealing more of your vulnerabilities, and you could be just thinking about the past with former lovers or stuff to do with former relationships. Maybe you're looking at where you went wrong and how to improve things going forward. With your mutual resources, there could be changes to your child custody arrangements. You could be rethinking your living arrangements because Mercury rules over your 4th house. So there could be changes to your living circumstances. This could be you thinking about buying, selling, relocating. Maybe you want to kick someone out of your house. Maybe you can't stand where you're living or who you're living with, and you're like, I need to make changes. Typically speaking, with Mercury retrogrades, we don't necessarily action those changes unless they've been delayed for a while. So all of this with your mutual resources, with your sex life, with your living circumstances, a lot of this is happening up here where you're like, I'm going to talk about these changes. I'm going to make these changes. But maybe you're not able to action them until after the retrograde. It's not always the case, but it's just something to consider and to think about. Now, with respect to your living arrangements, the details of you relocating, the details of when you're going to be buying or selling, or your rental agreement may be up for renegotiation, or they may be changing on a different level. Many of you will be returning to study something to do with the occult or esoteric topics. You could be taking it to a deeper level, or if you push the pause button on these studies, then you may be resuming them. On another level, the 8th house rules over healing. So you could be going back to a healer. You could be getting another reading. You could be sharing about your past, or perhaps even traumatic events that have occurred in your life. And at the end of the day, Mercury retrograde in the 8th house can indicate that truths are bubbling up to the surface. Now, it could be that you are discovering secrets that have been hidden, or perhaps you are sharing more about your personal life, especially because Mercury is your chart ruler, or our chart ruler, I should say. Now, on the 23rd of December, Mercury will retrograde from Capricorn back into the sign of Sagittarius. So you could be getting back in touch with an ex. Maybe you're hearing from them. Maybe you're reaching out to them. Again, Mercury is your ruling planet, so it's very possible. For some of you, you could be getting back with an ex. And for others of you, you could be rethinking your existing relationship. Is it working? How can we improve things? Maybe you are having clarifying conversations with your significant other. What are we? Where are we going? Do we want the same things? And that could especially be the case relating to family matters and property matters. And I say that because Mercury rules over your 4th house, which represents those things. So some of you could be getting back in touch with someone about a property. So this could be a real estate agent, a buyer's advocate, or perhaps even professional moving services. You could be hearing back from real estate agents about the availability of a property. On a different note, the 7th house rules over clients and business partners. So you could be collaborating once more with a business partner or with someone that you've collaborated with before. You may be renegotiating your contracts with someone that you do business with. And for others of you, you may be reaching out to old clients, or you may be hearing back from them. And maybe some of you are reconsidering if you're actually happy with the person that you're in business with. Or perhaps some of you are thinking about if you want to hold on to the clients that you have. Are those client relationships in alignment with you? Are you still able to offer the kinds of services that they need? Maybe you're streamlining the services that you offer or making changes to the services that you offer. So lastly, with this one, you may be connecting with friends from the past or rethinking your existing friendships. Now, on the 27th of December, there will be a full moon in Cancer at 4 degrees in your second house. So the second house is all about your personal finances, resources, possessions, as well as things like diet, self-esteem, personal values, and even storage. The full moons in general indicate the ending of a chapter taking place or the closing out of some kind of cycle. And this can also indicate issues being illuminated for you. The good news is that this full moon has positive aspects to it. The full moon is sextiling Jupiter in Taurus, and it is also trining Saturn in Pisces. So for you guys, this could be coming through as an increase in your finances or your resources. With the sextile to Saturn in Pisces in your 10th house at 2 degrees, you could be securing a stable form of income. And this could be associated with something from 6 months ago when we had the new moon in Cancer, although it doesn't have to be. In any case, this is a positive full moon for your resources and for your finances. For others of you, you could be procuring an important possession. You may actually be selling with this trine to Saturn. You could be downsizing on a grand scale. And for others of you, you may experience more security in your self-worth and in your self-esteem. So maybe you finally feel more confident, and for one reason or another, this full moon in Cancer on the 27th could really be highlighting that you have stayed true to your values and that you feel more confident in yourself. Now, lastly, on the 28th/29th of December, depending where you live in the world, Mars in Sagittarius in your 7th house is going to square Neptune in Pisces in your 10th house at 25 degrees, and Mars will be conjunct Mercury at 23 degrees too, which is a retrograde. So this Mars-Neptune square isn't as tricky as it normally would be, and I say that because Neptune is forming a grand trine with the moon in Cancer and Venus in Scorpio. Nevertheless, around the 28th and the 29th of December, there may be confusion about your career, or perhaps a move or a decision that you've made with your career isn't necessarily received well, or perhaps some people don't understand why you're taking your career in this direction. On a different note, you may be making an announcement about your relationship status or a business partner arrangement, and this could come out prematurely or unexpectedly, or perhaps it's not received well by everybody, but that doesn't mean that it is the wrong move. Just remember, Neptune is trining the moon, and it's also trining Venus. So that's where we're getting that grand trine, or should I do this? Yeah, the grand trine coming through. Now, on a different note, you may be misinterpreting or misunderstanding your partner's views on your career decisions. So maybe you're thinking that your partner's not supportive or that they're not going to be happy, but that doesn't mean that they're not. It could just be that you've misconstrued something. So ultimately, I do think that the positive aspects of the full moon in Cancer, which are occurring the day before, balancing out some of the more negative aspects of Mars Neptune square. Nevertheless, that's all I have for you, Gemini. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And I'm about to move on to Cancer. Now my tea is completely cold. Anyway, I am going to have a little break at the halfway mark, which will be after Virgo, but I'm only a quarter of the way through. So Cancer, Sun, Moon, and risings. As of right now, Venus is in the sign of Scorpio. So Venus enters Scorpio on the 4th or the 5th of December, depending where you live in the world, and it will be in Scorpio until around the 29th or the 30th of December, and it's transiting your 5th house, which we love to see. The 5th house is associated with love, romance, children, your creative gifts and talents, as well as fun and leisure time and sport. So some of you may actually start dating someone new. You may meet someone special, even if you're not dating. You may form a crush on another person. You may decide that you want to start dating once again. With Venus ruling over your 11th house, you may decide that you want to jump onto a dating app. The 5th house rules over parties and events, so you could actually meet someone at a party or at an event. For those of you who are already in a relationship, this indicates a time of romance with your partner, with your significant other. So you could be going on more dates, your relationship could be going well, and perhaps the two of you are going on a little trip together, or just pursuing your hobbies and passions together. The 5th house rules over children, so this indicates that your relationship with your child or with your children could be improving during this 3.5-week period. You could be spending more time with them. You could actually be looking at starting a family or expanding your family further. Venus in the 5th house is a very, very creative time for you guys. So you may be getting into things like dance, painting, drawing, cooking. These are Venusian things, of course. And also because Scorpio is associated with the occult and with esoteric matters, you could be discovering intuitive gifts that you have, intuitive talents around this time, or you could be deepening those and strengthening those further. Now, on the 12th of December, there will be a new moon in Sagittarius, and this will be at 20 degrees in your 6th house. So the 6th house is associated with health, work, debts, habits, and routines, and it rules over organization and cleaning and tidying up. With the new moon occurring in the 6th house, this indicates that a new chapter is starting with respect to one of those things, or maybe one or more of those things. So you could be going on a new health journey. You could be engaging the services of a new health practitioner or doctor. Because the new moon's at 20 degrees, which is the Scorpio degree, this could be alternative health practices, or just alternative ways of looking at health, or perhaps this will incorporate occult practices or esoteric practices. Now, this can indicate that you are starting a new job, or that there are new responsibilities at work for you. There could be changes to your working hours, your working schedule, or what is expected of you in the workplace when it comes to your responsibilities. Because the new moon is at 20 degrees, which is the Scorpio degree, this could indicate that there's something unexpected or surprising or even shocking about these developments that are coming through. But having said that, the ruler of the new moon is Jupiter, and Jupiter is trining Mercury. So it's making a positive aspect to Mercury, and it's also going to be opposite Venus in Scorpio. So all of these planets are making harmonious aspects, whether that's a sextile or a trine. So I do see this as a positive new chapter that's coming through. So for some of you, you could be applying for a loan. And for others of you, you could be starting up some sort of new habit or new health routine that you're able to stick to or that you have support in sticking with. And some of you may just be getting organized, whether this is to do with your taxes, tidying up around the house, decluttering, or organizing your workspace. So it seems like a productive new moon for you, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Risings. Now, on the 13th of December, Mercury will station retrograde in Capricorn at 8 degrees in your 7th house. And then it will retrograde into Sagittarius on the 23rd of December. So with Mercury retrograde in your 7th house, you could be reconnecting with an ex or with someone that you used to be romantically involved with. You may get back together with them, or you may just be hearing from them or reaching out to them. For those of you who are in relationships, you may be rethinking your current relationship and asking yourself questions like, is this what I really want? Is this working for me? And if it is what you really want, how can I improve things in this relationship? And you may be having productive conversations with your significant other on how to do just that. Now, on a different level, the 7th house rules over friends and clients and business partners. So you may be hearing back from a former business partner or someone that you used to collaborate with. You could be renegotiating your contracts with someone that you do business with, especially because Mercury rules over your 3rd house. And some of you may be getting back in touch with old clients or hearing from old clients, and others of you may just be wanting to renegotiate the terms of your working arrangements with other people. Of course, some of you may be connecting with friends from the past, or you could just be rethinking friendships and whether you want to continue being friends with certain people. Now, on the 23rd of December, Mercury is going to retrograde from Capricorn back into Sagittarius, and it will be there until the 1st of January. So it's going to station direct once more on the 1st of January at 22 degrees. So from the 23rd onwards, Mercury will be retrograde in your 6th house. So you could be going for a checkup or a follow-up appointment with a doctor or with a health practitioner. You could be reconsidering your current health practices because Mercury is retrograde. So it's all about you rethinking how you're doing things and if they're really working for you. On a different note, you could be returning to a former workplace or a former line of work. You could hear back from old colleagues or from somewhere where you used to work, and you could be reconsidering what it is that you do every day for work, because the 6th house rules over your habits and your routines. So on a different note, you could be receiving money from friends, clients, or siblings or relatives. And I say that because Mercury rules over the 3rd house, which pertains to all of those individuals. With Mercury also ruling over your 12th house, you may need to be doing follow-up here, because the 12th house rules over forgetting things, and it rules over donations and anything that's unclear. So if someone owes you money, you may need to clarify with them how much they owe you and when you expect it. Now, the 6th house rules over habits and routines. So there is a possibility here to fall back into an old habit, or to, pick up a former addiction. Touch wood, I just take this with a grain of salt. Obviously, this is a general reading, but if you know that you have those tendencies, or if you have been sober, you may just want to reach out to your support network or put systems in place to better support you during this period. Lastly, you may just be doing a huge cleanup or tidy up, and you could be organizing things. So this is a really great time to be, get organized. Now, Cancer, on the 27th of December, there will be a full moon in your 1st house at 4 degrees. And this full moon has really positive and beneficial aspects to it, because it will sextile Jupiter in Taurus in your 11th house, and it will trine Saturn in Pisces in your 9th house. So this can see you feeling more confident about your long-term plans for the future. You could be receiving support from friends or someone in your wider network. Your faith, whether this is religious or spiritual, or your belief in how the world works, could really be supporting you at this time. You know, when nothing else is there or no one else is there to support you, you have your strength of your convictions and your belief systems to carry you through. Now, on a different note, the first house rules over your physical body. So you could be feeling at peace in your physical body. You may feel safe. You may feel more beautiful. You may have resolved certain self-esteem issues related to your physical appearance, especially if they stem from childhood. Some of you may be receiving a clean bill of health with respect to a long-term issue that you've been dealing with. And I say that because Saturn rules over chronic health conditions, and the full moon is trining Saturn. Okay, so this also indicates that you could be embracing your appearance. Maybe you're embracing your gray hairs, wrinkles, you know, all your curves or wobbly bits or whatever you want to call it. You could just be like, hey, I have cellulite and that's me and that's fantastic. Or, you know, I don't need to put in all of this high maintenance level of effort into my appearance. I just feel comfortable in my own skin, which is really beautiful. Now, on the 28th/29th of December, depending where you live in the world, Mars in Sagittarius in your 6th house is going to square Neptune in Pisces in your 9th house. Now, this is generally speaking a bit of a difficult aspect, but what's different about this one is that Neptune is forming a grand trine with with the moon in Cancer at 28 degrees and Venus in Scorpio at 28 degrees. So there may just be some kind of confusion about how to balance your work, your diet, and your health habits and routines with your plans for travel, education, and perhaps your religious or spiritual beliefs. And at the end of the day, I do think that the positive energy that's coming through with the full moon, which is on the 27th, so 1 or 2 days before, will counterbalance the tricky aspect of the Mars-Neptune square. So Cancer, that's all I have for you for December 2023. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content, please hit the subscribe button. Now, I timed myself and that was 12 minutes. So I'm getting pretty close to my 10 minutes per sign, but somehow I don't think that's actually going to happen. So I'm about to move on to Leo. So 2 more signs and I'm going to take a 5 or 10 minute break. Okay, so Leo, Sun, Moon, and Risings. On the 4th or the 5th of December, depending where you live in the world, Venus is going to enter the sign of Scorpio. As it stands right now, Venus has just entered Scorpio. So it's at 0 degrees as I'm filming this video. I've got my little love heart here, just Venus things. I bought this in Croatia. I don't know why I'm sharing this. It's just I like to fiddle. So Leos, Venus will be transiting your 4th house until about the 29th or the 30th of December. So with Venus transiting your 4th house, this indicates that there is some kind of blessing that's coming through with your property, with your residence, with your living circumstances. You can receive a blessing on your family life, on your home life. Maybe you're entertaining more in your home. Maybe you're having people over. Maybe you are decorating your property. Maybe you're purchasing furniture for your property, or you're procuring artwork that looks really beautiful. For others of you, you could be experiencing harmony and peace with a family member or with your family in general. So if you've been having difficulties or challenges there, Venus going through your 4th house can help you with that. On a different note, the 4th house rules over your emotional world and your emotions in general. So Venus going through your 4th house can be dredging some stuff up because it is in the sign of Scorpio, but ultimately this is going to somehow bring through a feeling of contentment and peace in your heart. And this can really be settling for your emotions. Now, on the 12th of December, there will be a new moon in Sagittarius in your fifth house. Yay! The fifth house is a very exciting house. It's connected to love, romance, children, your creative gifts and talents, as well as your hobbies. And it also represents your own business, and it's also connected to authorship and fun and leisure time. So with this new moon occurring in your fifth house, there's a new chapter starting here. There's a new beginning. So for some of you, you could be developing a crush on someone. A new romance could be afoot. You could be taking your existing romantic relationship to a new level, to a different level. And some of you may decide that you want to start a family. So you could be putting things in place to plan for that in the future. And I say that because the new moon is all about planting those seeds. It's not always about taking action the moment that we experience the new moon. On a different note, some of you may be discovering a new hobby, a new passion, or a new talent, or you could be trying something new with respect to an existing hobby or talent. I'll give you an example. So let's just say that you are a painter and that you love painting with oil paints. Maybe this new moon in Sagittarius is going to see you trying watercolors or trying out different techniques. In any case, the ruler of the new moon is Jupiter, and Jupiter is in Taurus and it's trining Mercury, and Jupiter will be opposite Venus. So we've got Jupiter and Venus being in a tight aspect with one another, and they are both planets which represent blessings, and they are both considered to be benefic planets. So for others of you, you may have an idea for a new business that you want to start, or if you have your own business already, this could be like a new product that you want to launch or develop, or a new service that you're looking at offering. Maybe you're looking at writing a book or a novel. And for others of you, this could just be something new and fun that you do. And because the new moon is at 20 degrees, which is the Scorpio degree, this may be something that you want to keep a secret. This new chapter in general could be something that you're very private about, that you're very secretive about, you're only sharing with a few close people or a few close friends, or maybe even just your significant other. Another way that this could play out is that this new chapter could have scorpionic tones to it, because 20 degrees is the Scorpio degree. So maybe this is to do with something more intuitive or esoteric or occult in nature. For example, you could start learning the tarot, buy a tarot deck, or start an astrology business. If you've been thinking about doing that, this is a green light on that. And it's 111 right now as I'm filming, as I said that. So that may be a sign for some of you. Now, on the 13th of December, Mercury is going to station retrograde in Capricorn at 8 degrees in your sixth house. So with Mercury retrograde in the sixth house, you may be having follow-up appointments with a doctor or a health practitioner. You may be going to see your dentist, especially because Mercury rules over the second house. If you do have appointments with doctors or dentists or healthcare practitioners, these may be rescheduled, or you may have the wrong date or information just because Mercury is retrograde. So you may want to double check that and make sure you have all of your referrals ready to go. Some of you may be reconsidering your health practices. So you may be changing up your exercise regime, your health regime, your daily habits and routines. You may be trying to kick an addiction or an old habit that you have, or something that's just no longer serving you. On a different note, you could be returning to the workplace or to a former line of work. You may be reconsidering what it is that you want to do for work, or there could be changes to your work hours and to your working arrangements, if I didn't say that already. The sixth house is connected to debts, so you could be receiving money from someone who owes you money, or possessions. Maybe someone borrowed something of yours that they're returning to you. On a different note, because Mercury rules over your second house, it could be you that has to pay someone back. Now, on a different level, you could be giving away your possessions in order to clean up and tidy up around the place. You could be giving them away, you could be donating them, you could just be chucking them out, especially because Mercury rules over your second house, which represents your possessions. Now, this is certainly a great time for you to get organized. And this is organizing the organization of your possessions. This is the organization of your finances, your resources, your investments, and passive forms of income. Now, on the 23rd of December, Mercury will retrograde from Capricorn back into Sagittarius in your fifth house, where it will be retrograde until the 1st of January. So you may be reconnecting with a former romantic partner. You may be hearing back, or you may be hearing from someone that you used to be involved with. The fifth house is casual dating. So this could be someone you weren't even in a relationship with. It could have just been like a situationship or something short-term or a fling. You could be the one who is reaching out to someone that you used to be romantically involved with, or someone that you used to date. If you had pushed the pause button on dating, you could be getting back out there into the dating world, or the opposite of that could be true. For others of you, you could just be thinking deeply about your romantic life and your love life. Why isn't it working? Or, what changes can I make to improve things? And on a different note, the fifth house rules over children. So some of you could be redefining your relationship with your children. You could be reconnecting with your children, especially if you have been estranged, or if you haven't been if you haven't been in contact with each other. You could start ironing things out, or just slowly start to rebuild that connection there. For others of you who own your own business, you may be making changes to your finances, how much you're investing in your business, what you're charging. You could just be rethinking your budgets and your expenses. On a different note, you could be making changes to your online social media presence and platform. And lastly, there could be old hobbies that you pick back up. So maybe you used to go running a lot and you haven't done that for a while. So you could be getting back into the swing of things. So yeah, you could be taking up sports. If you used to draw, you could be getting back into sketching, and so on and so forth. So on the 27th of December, there will be a full moon in Cancer at 4 degrees, and this will be occurring in your 12th house. So the 12th house is a hidden house. There's a lot going on underneath the surface. Whatever's taking place with this full moon, it's likely that it won't be obvious to the outside world, or maybe you are the one who's feeling this on an internal level and you're just keeping that to yourself, which is fine. In any case, the full moons in general indicate the ending of a chapter taking place, or the closing out of a cycle. And in some cases, it could be a situation reaching its peak, or something being illuminated for you, something that's being brought out into the light. So, sorry guys, got to keep hydrated. The 12th house rules over yoga, meditation, spirituality, your subconscious, fears and insecurities. And it also rules over things like self-sabotage, self-sacrifice, martyrdom, and donations and generosity. So all of these topics could be up for grabs for you with this full moon in Cancer on the 27th. You may be experiencing a profound healing taking place. You could be having an epiphany or an important realization with respect to certain fears and insecurities that you have been experiencing at a subconscious level. So maybe some of this is buried really deep and you haven't really been understanding how this has been playing out in your physical reality. So some of you may have been self-sabotaging, but you're finally understanding how certain things are interconnected, especially because this full moon is sextiling Jupiter in Taurus, which is um, in your 10th house. Okay, so that's your career. And it is also trining Saturn in Pisces, which for you guys is in your 8th house. Okay, so you may have been self-sabotaging with respect to your career, leadership responsibilities, just your confidence in putting yourself out there in the world. So I do think that for many Leos, you're finally going to be connecting certain dots when it comes to not having had the confidence or the courage to really just go out there and go after your goals and dreams. But I really do think that things are changing with this full moon, where you're realizing that um, healing is taking place on a deep level for you, and you're able to remove these certain obstacles and blockages that have been holding you back. And maybe you have felt as though these are external obstacles and blockages, but the full moon allows you to realize that somehow you have had a hand in contributing to these. Now, on the 28th/29th of December, Mars in Sagittarius in your 5th house is going to square Neptune in Pisces in your 8th house. So I'm not going to focus on this for too long, but basically, the 5th house, as I've mentioned earlier, is all about your creative gifts and talents, your love life, your romantic life, children, hobbies, and passions. And then the 8th house is one of those houses that's connected to fears and insecurities, as well as healing and mutual resources. So there may be some kind of confusion here about how to move forward in your love life, how to move forward with your relationship with your children, or perhaps how to get past certain blockages when it comes to exploring your creative gifts and talents and hobbies, or maybe, with your own business. There could have been issues here where you just feel like you don't have the confidence to put yourself out there. You don't have the confidence to be intimate and vulnerable with your significant other, or you don't know how to connect emotionally with your child. But this Mars-Neptune square is not about it's not about these things being as difficult as they appear. In some cases, the fear of it can be worse than the actual reality. So it's all about navigating the fear that you have with respect to exploring what you want to explore with your significant other, or experiencing healing and forgiveness with your children, and just getting past those barriers of not wanting to open yourself up in case you're rejected somehow. I hope that I hope that you understand what I was trying to say there, because I feel like that was a little bit abstract. Nevertheless, thank you, Leo. That was your December 2023 horoscope. And now I'm going to move on to Virgo. Okay, so, and then I'm going to take a little break. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Risings, welcome. I am a Virgo Moon myself, so I always thoroughly enjoy doing the Virgo horoscopes. Now, we are in the Mercury pre-shadow period as I've started this video, so lots of you will already be having miscommunications. You may have to just do things again and again and again when it comes to your work and to your business. I am going to do a full segment on Mercury retrograde, but just to give you an example, I tried over 10 times to update my blog on CAISTROLOGY.com, and that was just like a pure Mercury retrograde in Capricorn moment. So even though Mercury retrograde starts on the 13th of December, you will absolutely well and truly be experiencing it already. With Mercury being retrograde in Capricorn, that will be trining Virgos between 0 and 8 degrees. Hey, that includes me. But then it's going to move into Sagittarius, which will be squaring Virgos. I've sort of started off a little bit back to front. So let me get into it with Virgo and Venus going through the sign of Scorpio. Venus enters Scorpio on the 4th or the 5th of December, depending where you live in the world. As it stands right now, as I'm filming, Venus is at 0 degrees Scorpio already, and it will be in Scorpio until the 29th or the 30th of December. So with Venus going through your 3rd house, this indicates that you're going to be feeling more creative and more creatively inspired when it comes to communications pieces, writing pieces, content creation, and you may be looking at or enjoying education courses that you are doing or learning new skills. And I say that because the 3rd house rules over all of this stuff. The 3rd house also rules over qualifications, apprenticeships, and licenses. So you may be continuing your training with, let's say, an apprenticeship, or you may be enjoying education courses that you're currently participating in. Some of you may be working on websites, your social media platforms and accounts. You may be putting out YouTube videos. I myself am going to be putting out a lot of stuff in December, so stay tuned. You may feel like you just have a lot of content that you want to share, whether this is writing it down. Sorry, I don't know what that noise was. Whether you're writing things down, uploading things online, or perhaps you could be just enjoying sketching or painting or drawing. This can indicate that you're going to have success in these areas. So whatever you're putting out during this time, whether this is on your website, on your social media platform, new YouTube videos, they're going to be received well. Meetings can be going well. You could be creating presentations that you're looking at delivering. And again, I would see this as something that's going to be received positively. Now, the 3rd house rules over friends, siblings, and extended relatives. So you could be enjoying time with them. You could be, this could be a more social month for you. Look, it is for most people. December is, generally speaking, a sociable time, but for you guys especially, you could be seeing more friends, spending more time with extended relatives or with your siblings. Extended relatives meaning cousins, aunties, uncles, nieces, nephews, etc. And on a different note, the 3rd house rules over your clients and your colleagues as well as sales. So you could be doing business with other people that goes well. You could be working in small teams. There could be more harmony in your friendship group. You could be meeting amazing new clients or be receiving really positive feedback from clients. And this is a really great month if you work in a great period of time if you work in sales or if you offer services or if you sell products. So, good luck to all of us Virgos with this. On a different level, this could see you securing a new vehicle, or perhaps you are looking at selling your vehicle. Now, on the 12th of December, there's going to be a new moon in Sagittarius, and this will be at 20 degrees in your 4th house. So it is squaring Virgos. Virgos around 20 degrees plus or minus, 5 degrees. So let's say 15 to 25 degree Virgos will be feeling it more so than the other ones. Nevertheless, the 4th house is all about your property, your living circumstances, as well as your family life and your emotions. So for some of you Virgos, this indicates that there is a new chapter starting with respect to your living arrangements and your living circumstances. Some of you may be planting the seeds here. Maybe you are looking at selling your property. Maybe you're looking at purchasing a property. Maybe you're making plans to relocate. The new moon is all about planting the seeds and taking that first step. So it doesn't necessarily mean that all of this is happening straight away. It's just that initiation period. You could be looking at getting a new flatmate, or you could be looking at moving in with someone else. On a different note, the fourth house, like I said before, rules over your family life. So the dynamics in your family could be changing. You could actually be getting pregnant around this time, or you could be looking to plan to start a family. Okay, this could be something that you're thinking about or having discussions with your significant other about. On a different note, the fourth house is connected to your emotions. So with this new moon, the ruler of it is Jupiter, and Jupiter will be in Taurus, trining Mercury in Capricorn. Okay, so the ruler of the new moon is making a positive, beneficial aspect to our chart ruler Mercury, which means that there's some kind of blessing that is coming through with this new moon. And with Mercury in the fifth house, this could be connected to your romantic partner. Maybe you're looking at working from home, starting your own business. I'm getting a little bit lost in the weeds, so I'm just going to continue, guys. In any case, new moon, new start, new chapter with your living circumstances, property matters, your family life, and you could be feeling like a new chapter is starting for you emotionally speaking, where you're looking at having more confidence in your decisions and feeling more settled emotionally. Now, on the 13th of December, Mercury is going to station retrograde in the sign of Capricorn at 8 degrees in your fifth house, and then it's going to retrograde back into Sagittarius. So the Virgos who will feel it the most will be those between 0 and 8 degrees because Mercury will be trining you. Nevertheless, a Mercury retrograde is going to affect every Virgo point blank, period, no matter what. So with Mercury retrograde in your fifth house, you could be reconnecting with a former lover. You could be getting back into the dating world. Or if you've been dating for a while, you could be like, hey, I need to pause this. Like I'm sick of Tinder. I'm sick of, just pouring energy into this. I'm going to pour energy back into me. If you're in a relationship already, you may go on a break with your significant other, or you may be looking at how you can improve communication with your significant other. So you could be thinking deeply about what's working, what isn't working, how do I improve things, how do we communicate better, how do we fix these issues in our relationship, or how do we navigate a new way of communicating with one another. And Mercury retrograde can be really successful with that, especially because it is going to be trining you, given that it's in an earth sign. With the fifth house ruling over children, you could be redefining your relationship with one or more of your children. You could be reconnecting with a child, especially if you haven't been speaking lately, or maybe you've gone through a period of no contact with them. On a different note, you could be reconsidering your plans to either start a family or expand your family. And this could entail how you want to go about expanding your family. So, for example, if you've been trying to conceive the natural way, what you would consider the natural way, you may be looking at IVF or a sperm donor or surrogacy. On a different level, you may have decided, that you don't want to have any more children, but with this Mercury retrograde in your fifth house, you're like, oh, maybe I want to have another one. Now, on a different note, with Mercury retrograde in your fifth house, you could be changing up your business if you own your own business. So maybe you're switching up the aesthetic, maybe you're changing the appearance of your website. You could be making changes to your online social media accounts, your social media platforms. And for others of you, maybe you had pushed the pause button on your business, and now you're going to be offering certain services again. Or perhaps you may just be looking at restructuring your business. Maybe it's not working for you and you're thinking about how you can streamline things and make things run more efficiently. Lastly, with this one, you could be returning to old hobbies of yours or passions. So you could be getting back into sports or dancing, and just something creative that you used to do, especially if it used to involve writing, given that we've got Mercury here. Now, on the 23rd of December, Mercury is going to retrograde back into the sign of Sagittarius in your fourth house, and it will be retrograde there until the 1st of January, and it'll station direct at 22 degrees on the 1st. So, Mercury retrograde in your fourth house indicates that there may be obstacles or delays or changes to property matters. So, for example, if you had a move out date in mind, let's say you were like, I'm going to move out on the 26th of December, you may have to change this. You may have to push that date forward. To be fair, you could be bringing it forward as well. It doesn't have to be a delay necessarily. For others of you, there could be changes to the time frame of when you wanted to sell a property or when you were looking at buying a property. If someone that you live with said that they were going to move out, their dates could change. And for others of you, you could just be reconsidering where you live. Even if none of this stuff was in motion, during this Mercury retrograde period from the 23rd of December through till the 1st of January, you could be like, do I even like where I live? Do I want to live here? Do I want to live abroad? So you could be investigating some kind of relocation. Now, for others of you, you could be redefining the relationship that you have with your parents or reconnecting with someone from your family. And for others of you, Mercury retrograde in the fourth house can be quite emotional. So you may just have things from your childhood cropping back up, things from your past, emotions that you thought you had dealt with, that you thought were, settled, and just things that you thought you'd gotten over, right? These could be bubbling back up to the surface during this time. Now, on the 27th of December, there will be a full moon in Cancer at 4 degrees in your 11th house. So the full moons are all about the end of a chapter or a cycle. It can even be a celebration, something reaching completion or culmination, but it can also indicate something being illuminated or brought to your attention that you hadn't realized. Now, the 11th house rules over your long-term goals and dreams. It rules over awards, prizes, acknowledgements, and accolades. It rules over your social media following, so your fans, and it also rules over friends and passive forms of income and other stuff too, but those are just some headlines, right? So the full moon in your 11th house could indicate that you're achieving either a long-term goal of yours or a big goal or dream of yours. You could be receiving praise for work that's well done. You could be receiving some kind of acknowledgement or award. Your public social media following could increase, or something that you put out on social media, whether this is on your Instagram or your YouTube, could be received well. This can indicate that you are having epiphanies and realizations about your friends, and really seeing things clearly and for what they truly are. And I say this because this full moon in Cancer is going to sextile Jupiter in Taurus, and it's also going to trine Saturn in Pisces. So the full moon's making really positive and beneficial aspects. And this trine from the full moon to Saturn can indicate that you are feeling more secure in certain friendships, especially because Saturn is in your 7th house, which is a friendship house, and it's trining the moon in your 11th house, which is another friendship house. Lastly, with the full moon, some of you may receive some kind of increase in the way of a passive form of income, or you could just be receiving money, whether this is like residual income or, like I said, passive income. You could even receive a government payout. And I'm going to leave that there for the full moon. Now, lastly, on the 28th/29th of December, Mars in Sagittarius in your 4th house is going to square Neptune in Pisces in your 7th house at 25 degrees. And Mars is also going to be conjunct Mercury retrograde at 23 degrees. So the important thing to note with this aspect is that Neptune is going to form a grand trine with the moon in Cancer and Venus in Scorpio. So it's not as difficult to handle as it normally is. With this one, the 4th house rules over your family. It rules over your property and living circumstances, and the 7th house represents contracts. It represents agreements and understandings, as well as your significant other. So some of you may experience a bit of negative pushback from your family with respect to decisions being made about your romantic partner, about your living arrangements or your living circumstances. You and your significant other may have different ideas about what you want to do with your property or your plans for your future, whether this is in relation to your living circumstances or perhaps family planning. This aspect doesn't necessarily need to be a big deal. I sort of made notes for myself at the time, which I lost because my computer was stolen. I digress. When I experienced the Mars-Neptune square, the previous one, which, you know what, I'm going to tell you guys when that was. Okay, the last one was March 2020, March 14th this year. Oh, actually, no, that was a huge one for me. Okay, when that happened, I think that's the day that I actually, that's the day that I moved out of my last property. So look, it could be an emotional time for you. You could be relocating around this time. And having said that, because we have this supportive energy from the full moon in Cancer just 1 or 2 days before, I do think that this energy is going to be a lot easier to handle. But in a nutshell, there may just be some sort of discord between your family, your living circumstances, and your significant other, or arrangements or agreements that you'd have with other people. Or, this could just be a day for disagreements with family members or people that you live with or your significant other. So do just watch out for that one. And lastly, guys, it's actually worth mentioning that Jupiter will station direct on the 31st of December at 5 degrees Taurus. So this is going to be trining Virgos, especially Virgos between, 2 degrees to 8 degrees, or even 0 to 10 degrees. So things are going to be moving forward pretty soon after the new year begins. Nevertheless, Virgo, that's all I have for you for December 2023. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give the video a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'm going to take a short break, 5 minutes, 10 minutes max, and then I'm going to be back with Libra horoscopes. So thanks for being patient, guys, and I will be right back. Hi everyone, I am back from my short break, just in time to start Libra. So this is the second half of the horoscopes. I cannot believe we're already 2 hours in. Anyway, so this is for my Libra, Sun, Moon, and Risings. On the 4th or the 5th of December, depending where you live in the world, Venus is going to enter the sign of Scorpio. As it stands right now, Venus is currently at 0 degrees. So Venus is already in Scorpio. It will be there until the 29th or the 30th of December. Again, that depends on where you live in the world. So essentially, Venus will be in your second house for almost the whole rest of the month, which means that there's a big focus on your personal resources, your finances, as well as your possessions. And the second house rules over what you eat, your diet, and it also rules over what you value. So, with Venus in your second house, this indicates that you could experience an increase in income. You could be receiving possessions. And I say that because Venus rules over your 8th house, which represents mutual resources, and the sign of Scorpio also represents mutual resources. So you could actually be receiving gifts from other people, or you could be sharing your personal resources with another person. On a different level, this indicates that you could enjoy cooking, you could have a positive experience with a new diet that you were trying out, or just a new way of eating and nurturing and nourishing yourself. And the second house rules over beauty. So when Venus, which is your ruling planet, is in the second house, we can be feeling more attractive. You may be wanting to experiment with beauty regimes and makeup and how you style your hair. In any case, wherever Venus goes, whatever house it transits, it brings peace and harmony there. You know, it adds some sort of enjoyment, or we can basically enjoy whatever that house rules over. Now, on the 12th of December, there will be a new moon in Sagittarius at 20 degrees in your third house. So new moons indicate a new chapter or a new start happening somewhere in our lives. The third house rules over education courses, in particular short-term education courses. It also rules over qualifications, diplomas, licenses, and apprenticeships. New moons are all about planting the seed for something new or a new beginning taking place. So some of you may be looking at securing an apprenticeship or enrolling in a new education course. You could be applying to get your license, or studying or practicing to get your license. And this can be any kind of license, guys. This could be a driver's license, a boat license, a liquor license. It can be any kind of license, really. Now, the third house rules over communications, content creation, writing, as well as social media and presentations and meetings. So you could be building a new website. You could be looking at starting a new social media page, maybe a new YouTube channel. You could be creating more content or starting a new writing piece. You could be putting together a presentation. And also, the third house rules over clients and sales. So you could be looking at reaching out to clients or communicating with them in a new way. You could be striking up agreements or contracts with new clients. You could be looking at products that you can sell. And for others of you, you may be looking at procuring a new vehicle. It doesn't necessarily need to be buying a vehicle. Maybe you're looking at getting a car lease. On a different note, the third house rules over friends, as well as siblings and extended relatives. So you could be making new friends. You could be possibly doing something with a sibling. or like a cousin or an auntie or an uncle. So maybe you're looking at going on a trip together, because the third house rules over short getaway trips or short excursions. The third house, the new moon, sorry, in the third house could be that you are enrolling in studying something with a friend or a sibling. And on a different note, the third house rules over how we communicate as well as how we think. So there could just be a new chapter starting here. Now, because the new moon is at 20 degrees, which is the Scorpio degree, there could be something more taboo about what it is that you want to study, or you could be very secretive about a new website that you're building or new courses that you're taking. And for others of you, it could just be that these are topics governed by Scorpio, such as Reiki, healing, chakras, taxes. Anyway, I'm not going to, I'm getting lost in the weeds a little bit here. I'm not going to go into too much detail. New chapter, new start with friends, siblings, learning something new, or developing a new skill. Okay, so Libra, on the 13th of December, Mercury is going to station retrograde in Capricorn at 8 degrees in your fourth house. Having said that, we're already in the pre-shadow period already. So everything that I'm about to say could be happening for you right now. Now, Mercury retrograde in the fourth house indicates that there's a focus on property, your family life, as well as your emotional health and well-being. So with property, if you have been looking at relocating, there may be changes here to the time frame, or maybe you are rethinking where it is that you want to live. If you had a move out date booked or just planned in your mind, there may be changes here. Maybe you have to bring that date forward. Maybe you have to push it back a little bit. Some of you may just be renewing your rental agreement, or you could be breaking lease, breaking contract, because Mercury is at 8 degrees, which is the Scorpio degree. So there is something here that's like unexpected, or, like whether it's coming from you or coming from them. On a different note, you could be rethinking who you want to live with. Do you really want to be living with mom and dad still? Do you not like your flatmate anymore? Do you want to move out of your boyfriend's house, or do you want to move in with someone else? So all of this stuff could be swimming around in your mind. Any plans that you've made with respect to relocating or buying or selling during this period is subject to change. So just be mindful of that. On a different note, this can see you getting back in touch with family members that you've been estranged from, or just seeing family members that you haven't seen in a really long time. So you could be reconnecting with them. Conversations from the past could be dredged up, which is a little bit, but these could be clarifying conversations that help you to get your relationship with certain family members back on track. Certainly, this is a period of time where episodes from your past may be coming back up. So you may be feeling rather emotional during this period of time, especially if you are a Libra, sun, moon, or rising between 0 and 8 degrees. Now, on the 23rd of December, Mercury is going to retrograde from Capricorn back into the sign of Sagittarius, which means it will be in your third house. So this can see you re-enrolling in an education course or resuming your studies. If you had put an apprenticeship on hold, you could be going back to that. You could be finishing off qualifications or diplomas. If you had gotten partway through building a website or putting together some kind of presentation, you could be going back to finish this. Mercury retrograde in the third house is a great time for editing. So just going over things that you've created, for social media, editing videos, editing text, You could be repurposing things that you had written. So let's just say you'd written a blog 2 or 3 years ago. You could just be like taking that material and just moving it around and, putting it back out there. If you used to have a social media platform or account, you could be reactivating it. Or if you have one, you could be deactivating it. So if you've taken a pause from social media, you could be coming back into it. Or if you've been on your social media pretty steadily, you could just take a little break from it or take a bit of a step back. This can see you reconnecting with old friends, speaking to people that you haven't spoken to in ages. You could be hearing from them. They could be hearing from you. Some of you could be getting back in touch with clients that you used to work with or co-workers that you used to work with. And for others of you, if you haven't seen your siblings in a while or your extended relatives, Mercury retrograde in the 3rd house could see you reconnecting with them. And for others of you, if there were products that you used to sell, you could start selling these again, or you could just be making changes to your website and the aesthetic. Now, Mercury retrograde in your 3rd house indicates that there could be a need for you to get your car serviced or looked at. There could be a breakdown of a vehicle, so just make sure that you've got spare tires in the boot, or that you've got phone numbers on hand that you can call if that's the case. Hopefully not, but it's a possibility. On a different level, moving along onto the full moon in Cancer. So the full moon will be in Cancer. Let me start again. There will be a full moon in Cancer at 4 degrees on the 27th of December, and this will be occurring in your 10th house. This full moon has positive aspects associated with it. It is sextiling Jupiter in Taurus, and it is also trining Saturn in Pisces. So full moons indicate the ending of a chapter, the closing out of a cycle, or it can indicate a celebration, sometimes receiving acknowledgement. And in other instances, it can indicate something that is illuminated for us. And now we see it with clear eyes, or, an issue can be brought into the light, let's say. Now, with the full moon in your 10th house, this can relate to your career. You may achieve a huge career milestone. You may complete an important career goal or chapter of your work. You could be walking away from a career or from a job or from an industry. You could be going into retirement. You could be going on parental leave. Okay, maybe some of you are becoming a parent around this time, so you're starting that parental leave. For others of you, your boss may be leaving the company, or there could be some kind of big goal or milestone that is achieved by your workplace in general, and now this is being celebrated. Because the full moon in Cancer is occurring at 4 degrees, which is the property, which is the Cancer degree, which pertains to property and your living circumstances, this could indicate that there is some sort of shift there or some sort of change. So maybe you guys are, becoming property owners. Maybe you're selling. Maybe you are relocating around this time. On a different note, the 10th house rules over leadership. So this can see you being perceived as a powerful leader or being received well by your superiors. And your relationship status could change and your parental status could change, which I obviously touched on just before. So the 10th house rules over our parental responsibilities, because it is the house that rules over the father, so to speak, but also the full moon's in Cancer, which rules over family, and it's at 4 degrees, which rules over the mother archetype. So some of you may become a parent around this time. You may become a grandparent, or you may become an empty nester, meaning that your children or the last of your children have moved out. So it could be like the conclusion of your parental responsibilities in some way, if that makes sense. Now, your relationship status could be changing around this time. So you may be officially entering into a relationship, or just the status of your relationship could be changing in a significant way. Now, lastly, we've got on the 28th or the 29th of December, depending where you live in the world, Mars in Sagittarius in your third house will square Neptune in Pisces in your sixth house. So this Neptune will be forming a grand trine with the moon in Cancer at 28 degrees and Venus in Scorpio at 28 degrees. So this does indicate that there is potentially confusion when it comes to your work life, your work responsibilities. Maybe you're not thinking clearly about the next steps, or the next steps with what you should be doing with work are not clear to you. This can indicate disagreements between you and friends, you and co-workers, or you and siblings or extended relatives. And for others of you, this can indicate that that you may just be feeling overwhelmed by the sheer volume of responsibilities that you have. I'm not going to go into this transit too much, but I just wanted to highlight that I do think that the positive energy and nature of the full moon in Cancer in your 10th house just 1 or 2 days before will outweigh potential difficulties with the Mars-Neptune square. So thank you, Libra, Sun, Moon, and Risings. That's all I have for you for December 2023. I'm now going to move on to Scorpio. Just made a fresh tea. This one's nice and hot. Chamomile, for those of you who weren't wondering and didn't ask. So Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Risings. On the 4th or the 5th of December, depending where you live in the world, Venus will be transiting your first house. So as it stands right now, Venus is at 0 degrees Scorpio. Venus going through your first house is always a welcome experience, because this can see you having more confidence in yourself, feeling more attractive, receiving more compliments. Maybe you are experiencing people flirting with you a bit more. You can find out that people have a crush on you, or that they are interested in you, romantically speaking. This can see you feeling more confident with experimenting when it comes to your dress sense, how you style your hair, how you're doing your makeup. Maybe you're, going au naturel and you're ditching the makeup. In any case, this sees you feeling more confident in your own skin, or perhaps engaging in beauty practices that enhance your feeling of attractiveness. Now, the first house rules over your physical body. So this indicates that you can experience an improvement in your health. And for others of you, especially if you're a Scorpio rising, Venus through the first house can indicate that you're feeling at peace with the direction that you're moving forward with your life. So your approach to life, where you want to go, what your next steps are. If you're a Scorpio sun, Venus going through your first house for most of the month can indicate that there are blessings coming through for your career and for your life goals, and certainly you could be feeling more confident. If you're a Scorpio moon, Venus in Scorpio or going through your first house can indicate that there's a focus on your relationships. So maybe you're experiencing healing with a romantic partner or someone that you're interested in romantically. Maybe you're experiencing blessings or healing when it comes to former relationships. And this can just indicate that there's more peace and harmony within your relationships in general, whether those are with romantic partners, friends, or family, because the moon rules over family. Okay, so On the 12th of December, there will be a new moon in Sagittarius at 20 degrees, and this is occurring in your second house. 20 degrees is the Scorpio degree, so there may be something sort of unexpected here that's taking place, or maybe you are making decisions which either shock other people or that shock yourself, or you could be very secretive about these decisions or this new chapter that's starting. So the second house rules over your resources and your income. So this could see you looking at forming new ways to, or cultivating or developing new ways to earn money or increase your salary, increase your abundance. This can see you starting a new diet, new beauty regimes, or perhaps this can see you taking your personal values very seriously, because the second house rules over what we value. It also rules over self-esteem, and it is connected to how we nurture ourselves and how we nourish ourselves. So this could see you starting a new chapter when it comes to how you take care of you. You know, are you eating well? Are you spending on yourself? And I don't mean like just blowing the budget altogether, but if you've been wanting to purchase a new item, whether it's expensive or inexpensive, and you're like, no, I don't deserve that, I don't deserve that. The second house is all about knowing our worth and what we deserve. So you could be starting a new chapter when it comes to feelings of worthiness at a deeper level. Now, on the 13th of December, Mercury is going to station retrograde at 8 degrees Capricorn, and this will be occurring in your third house. Okay, so Mercury retrograde in Capricorn in the third house can indicate that you're going back to study. You could be re-enrolling in a class, you could be changing subjects, you could be picking an apprenticeship back up, or if you had been studying to get a qualification or your license for something, you can return to study. If you've been studying up until this time, you may actually be pushing the pause button on that. On a different note, the third house rules over communications pieces and writing. So you may be reactivating social media pages or channels. You may be editing your website or making changes. You may be editing videos. You may be completing pieces of writing that you had started. You may be going back and editing, you know, a novel or writing work of some description. You could be making changes to presentations or a presentation that you had put together. And also Mercury retrograde in the third house is like extra Mercury retrograde-ish. So this indicates that meetings can be shifted back, deadlines can change, timeframes can change. You know, you may forget appointments. People may just flat out forget appointments with you or meetings or social engagements. On a different level, the third house rules over friends and siblings and extended relatives. So you may be reconnecting with old friends. You may be getting back in touch with siblings or a sibling or extended relatives, such as aunties, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews. On a different note, the third house rules over clients. So this can see you hearing back from old clients, or maybe you're reaching back out to them. A deal or a sale that you thought was dead in the water could be revived during this time. Conversely, if you had contracts drawn up, the other party may pull out, or they may want to make last minute changes. If you're signing any contracts during this time, read the fine print. I cannot stress that enough. And that includes if you are buying or selling a vehicle or a car, or entering into some kind of lease agreement. If you're anticipating receiving a new car or vehicle, there may be delays there. Now, on the 23rd of December, Mercury will retrograde from Capricorn back into the sign of Sagittarius in your second house. So Mercury retrograde in the second house indicates that you're rethinking and reconsidering your income, how much you earn, how you earn your money, what your budget is like, if you even have a budget. You know, you could be making changes to that, or maybe you're like, oh my God, I really need to start start tracking my spending. Some of you may be rediscovering old possessions, and you're like, oh, I totally forgot about this bracelet. Like, where did this come from? You may be wanting to change up what you're investing money in, how much money you're spending. The second house rules over what you eat, so you could be making changes to your diet. And as I mentioned before, the second house rules over your personal set of values, but it also rules over feelings of deservingness and worthiness and how we nourish and nurture ourselves. So you could be thinking long and hard about this, and maybe you're drawing conclusions such as, why am I not treating myself better? Or maybe you're like, why am I on this strict diet? If I want to have an ice cream once a fortnight, I'm damn well going to allow myself to do so. So there could be a loosening up of rigidity when it comes to diet, spending, but then also your appearance. If you're someone who normally likes to have their hair immaculate and makeup immaculate, you could be like, why am I wearing all this makeup? Why am I straightening my hair every day? So you could just be switching it up when it comes to how you dress and what you perceive to be beautiful within yourself. Now, on the 27th of December, there will be a full moon in Cancer, and this will be occurring in your 9th house. The full moon in Cancer will be trining Saturn in Pisces in your 5th house, sorry. And the full moon in Cancer will also be sextiling Jupiter in Taurus in your 7th house. So the 9th house rules over education, travel, your belief systems, religion, spirituality, as well as legal matters. So some of you, well, let's just talk about full moons first, right? Full moons indicate the ending of a chapter or the closing out of a cycle, or something can be illuminated for us. So we're like seeing things clearly, basically. So with the full moon taking place in the 9th house, you may be completing a course, finishing a thesis, you may be graduating. If so, congratulations. For others of you, you may not be finishing, but you may be like, I don't even like this. I don't want to study this. Why am I wasting my time? Why am I wasting my money? So you may just be pulling the pin on something that you are studying. On a different level, some of you may be going on a trip, or a trip abroad could be coming to an end, or maybe you're finished with your planning and now you're just ready for takeoff. This full moon is in Cancer at 4 degrees, which is the Cancer degree, which rules over your property and living circumstances. So some of you may be receiving a visa or permanent residency, or even citizenship. Maybe it's dual citizenship. And this is supported by the sextile to Jupiter, which represents like foreign international policies, and the trine to Saturn, which is like that security, that grounding, and that longevity. Now, as I said, the 9th house is connected to your belief systems as well as religion and spirituality. So you could be having an epiphany when it comes to how you view the world, your spiritual beliefs, your religious beliefs. Maybe some of you will be walking away from certain religious practices or spiritual practices, or maybe if you have led a largely atheist or agnostic kind of life, you could be having some kind of epiphany or realization in the other direction. So maybe you are looking at your religious beliefs and your spiritual beliefs differently. On a different note, the 9th house rules over legal matters. So a court case or a legal matter could finally reach a conclusion or some form of resolution. This could pertain to child custody, divorce, family matters, property or land matters, or something to do with, anything to do with Cancer-related topics, right? So Cancer being the sign that rules over family and property. It doesn't necessarily have to be, though. It could be that you were in legal proceedings with a family member about something else entirely. It's 222 right now as I'm saying that. And so this could finally be reaching some kind of conclusion. Now, even though this is a general reading, I do see this as something that could be working in your favor, just because this is your horoscope and the full moon's making these positive aspects to Jupiter and Saturn, which are both planets that are connected to the law. Or it could be a peaceful resolution for you and the other party. Okay, Scorpio, so on the 28th/29th of December, Mars in Sagittarius in your second house will be squaring Neptune in Pisces in your fifth house. And Mars will be conjunct Mercury retrograde at 23 degrees. Of course, Mars is your ruling planet. Now, ordinarily, I would look at this transit as being something quite tricky and difficult. But the positive thing here is that Neptune is forming a grand trine with the moon in Cancer at 28 degrees and Venus in Scorpio at 28 degrees in your first house. So there may be some kind of clash or discord that exists between your second house, which represents your finances, resources, income, your personal set of values, and your diet, and the fifth house, which rules over your love life, your children, as well as owning your own business and any creative gifts and talents and hobbies that you have. So there may be some sort of difficulty here when it comes to how much money you invest in these things, or perhaps you're getting feedback from your romantic partner or your children about how you're spending money, what you're investing in, your diet, or you prioritizing yourself. That's not to say that you should or shouldn't be. It's just that there's some kind of like challenge that exists here. What I would say, this is like totally, it may sound totally out of left field, but do be very, very careful when it comes to gambling, especially around this time, placing bets. And, you know, I obviously am not qualified to give financial advice, but, you know, Mars in the second house of your income and finances, squaring Neptune in the fifth house, which rules over risk-taking and gambling. And, you know, it's not a happy aspect for spending large amounts of money if there's some degree of risk involved. So just be mindful of that. I do just want to highlight, though, that the full moon in Cancer, which was 1 or 2 days before on the 27th of December, is a really positive and beneficial aspect for you Scorpios, because it is trining you. You know, we've got the full moon in Cancer trining Scorpio. So I do think that that energy will counteract some of the emotional fog and haze that can come through with the Mars-Neptune square. Thank you, Scorpio. That was it for your December 2023 horoscope. If you enjoyed it, please give the video a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'm going to move on to Sagittarius shortly. It's about 2:30 here in the afternoon, and I really want to go to the beach after this. I now live like 5 minutes walking distance from the beach. Oh, thank you, C, who said I love the new look, Cailin. I wouldn't say it's so much a new look as just less makeup. But you know, I'm enjoying wearing less makeup and embracing the inner Taurian. So thank you. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings. On the 4th or the 5th of December, depending where you live in the world, Venus will be entering the sign of Scorpio, and it will be there until the 29th or the 30th of December, at which point Venus is going to enter your first house. So Venus will be in your 12th house for about 3.5 months. As it stands right now, Venus is at 0 degrees Scorpio. So Venus going through your 12th house indicates that there's a big focus for you on healing, meditation, yoga, spirituality. These are the positive sides to the 12th house. So you can be experiencing deep and profound inner healing. You can be deriving a lot of enjoyment and benefit from your yoga practice or your meditation practice. I personally do yoga about 6 times a week and have been on on and off since the start of the year, like since I got back from my holiday, and I'm loving it. So I highly recommend it. If you are experiencing any kind of emotional disturbance, I would recommend meditation or just sinking into your spiritual practice to support you. Venus going through the 12th house can dredge up fears pertaining to your romantic relationships or even just your close relationships, because the 12th house rules over our fears and our insecurities and self-sabotage, as well as self-sacrifice. So Venus going through your 12th house is going to bring this stuff up to the surface if it exists, but it's also going to help you to smooth these things out and knock off the rough edges there. So this can see you understanding the ways that you have been self-sabotaging in your relationships, and maybe you've been projecting onto your partner, onto other people. But Venus in the 12th house is going to allow you to take accountability if it needs to be taken. Of course, this is a general reading, so take it as it resonates. On a different note, some of you may be far too self-sacrificing in your relationship. Maybe you're giving up too much of yourself to please or appease your significant other, or maybe even friendships, especially because Venus rules over your 11th house, which represents friendships. So you may be thinking long and hard about what you want to contribute to your friendships and if it is equal give and take or not. On a different level, the 12th house rules over our private time. Okay, so you can just be enjoying your company a bit more. With Venus being in your 12th house, you may be a little less social during this time. In any case, we do still have, it will still be Sagittarius season. So certainly once we get into Capricorn season, which is around the 23rd of December, that's when the social element can drop off a little bit, but doesn't mean you're not going to be hanging out with friends. So don't worry. Now, on the 12th of December, there will be a new moon in Sagittarius at 20 degrees in your first house. The ruler of the new moon is Jupiter. Okay, so not only is the new moon in your first house, the ruler is Jupiter, which will be in Taurus in your 6th house, and it will be trining Mercury in Capricorn, which is your 2nd house. Sorry, I just had to think for a moment there. So a new moon in the first house can indicate setting forth on a new chapter in your life. This could be a new approach. This could be a new direction altogether. Because this new moon is at 20 degrees in Scorpio, to me, this indicates some kind of radical transformation or some sort of shocking new development. So it could be that the choices that you are making are surprising to other people, or that the new path that you are embarking upon sees things changing for you really, really quickly. So the landscape could just completely shift, whereas with other new moons or with other changes, it could take longer to see the results. No, this new moon in Sagittarius at 20 degrees is like a radical and a quick transformation. So you could be making decisions about what you want to do with your career, with your work, with your health. You could be making important new decisions about your finances and resources and how you want to spend your time, how you want to spend your money. You could be committing to a new physical health journey, whether this is to do with healing, exercise, just doing what you can to be healthier and change your life. This can see you dressing differently, presenting differently. So maybe, you've worn the same cologne for however many years, you've had the same hairstyle, you wear the same clothes, but this new moon in Sagittarius in your first house is like, no, I want to switch it up. I want to try a different hairstyle. I want to, see what I look like without a beard. I want to start wearing color, whereas previously I wore all neutral colors, or vice versa. You may be wanting to look more distinguished somehow. In any case, Sagittarius, I can't stress enough that if there are big changes that you want to make in your life, write them down on the 12th of December, or, within 2 to 3 days after the new moon on the 12th of December, write down what you want to change, write down what kind of outcome you want to see. So even if you're not making these changes now, it could be like, I want to be in my dream job. I want to be more in alignment with the clients that I work with my friends. I want to increase my bank account, or increase my salary or my income, etc., etc. So, like I said, there's a big potential here for that. Some of you may be getting pregnant around this time, or deciding that you want to start a family, especially if you are a new moon, especially if you're a Sagittarius rising or a Sagittarius moon around 20 degrees plus or minus 5 degrees. So about 15 to 25 degrees Sag rising or Sag moon. Now, on the 13th of December, Mercury will station retrograde in Capricorn at 8 degrees in your second house. So Mercury retrograde here indicates that you are rethinking, reconsidering, revising plans and approaches to how you spend money, income, possessions, resources, your diet, how you nurture yourself, how you nourish yourself, what you're ingesting in your body, what you're putting in your body, as well as your beauty regime, standards, expectations, etc. And also the second house rules over your personal set of values. So Mercury retrograde here could see you wanting to change up your diet. Maybe you're becoming stricter, or maybe if you're already on a really strict and rigid diet, you're loosening the reins a little bit. Some of you may be selling off some of your possessions. Some of you may be streamlining or downsizing or giving them away. Others of you may be resuming ways in which you made money. Okay, so you could be going back to earning money in a way that you once did before. I've said that a little clumsily. I hope you're following my drift. On a different note, some of you may be switching up how you do your hair, how you do your makeup, and really just looking at how you can feel more confident in yourself and derive a greater sense of self-satisfaction and self-esteem from within, rather than from external things or external beauty practices, let's say. Now, on the 23rd of December, Mercury will retrograde from Capricorn back into the sign of Sagittarius. So Mercury will be retrograde in Sagittarius until the 1st of January. So it will station direct at 22 degrees, which means that the Sagittarians who will feel this the most will be Sag risings, suns, and moons between 22 and 29 degrees. So Mercury retrograde in the first house can indicate that you are rethinking your path in life, your approach. Is this how I want to move forward? What's the fastest way I can get from A to B, especially as it pertains to your career, because Mercury rules over your 10th house, and your relationships, your love life, your business partnerships and your client relationships, because Mercury rules that 7th house. So all of these things are brought into question. Do I like my career? Do I like the work that I'm doing? Am I in alignment with what I want to do with my job? Am I following my true life's purpose? Am I happy with my significant other? Am I treating them right? Are they treating me right? Am I doing business with the kinds of clients and co-workers that I want to be working with, or are there changes that I can make? These are all things that you may be thinking about and considering. Now, because the first house rules over the physical body, you could be reconsidering who you spend your time with. Is this person draining me? Is this relationship draining me? Am I putting too much energy and effort into this? You could just be thinking about your physical appearance, how you present, how you're coming off to other people, because Mercury rules your 10th house. This is especially pertinent to those of you who are Sagittarius risings, and perhaps even Sagittarius suns as well. It's like, am I showing up in the world, just generally speaking, / in a career sense, the way that I want to be? Is who I am presenting to be in alignment with who I feel I am deep down. Now, on a different level, some of you may be hearing from ex-partners, former friends, people that you used to do business with, and so on and so forth. And I say that because Mercury rules over your 7th house, and Mercury ruling the 7th house going into your 1st house is like them contacting you. On a different, moving along, on the 27th of December, there will be a full moon in Cancer, and this will be occurring at 4 degrees in your 8th house. The 8th house rules over intimacy. Mercury retrograde is hitting me hard. The 8th house rules over intimacy, sex, mutual resources, anything to do with the occult, anything to do with esoteric topics, as well as healing, fears, and insecurities. So full moons indicate the ending of a chapter taking place, the end of a cycle, something reaching a culmination point, or perhaps something being illuminated for you. So with the full moon occurring in the 8th house, this can see you being cognizant of hidden fears, hidden insecurities. This can see you finding out something about someone that you're involved with intimately or sexually, or perhaps someone that you used to be involved with. For others of you, you can experience a deepening of your of intimacy with you and your significant other. On a different note, some of you could be receiving financial assistance from another person because the 8th house rules over mutual resources. As this full moon is at 4 degrees, this could be pertaining to your property and living circumstances. So someone could be helping you out financially with respect to your property, or maybe they're letting you live with them or something of that nature. On a different note, if you have mutual resources with another person, these can finally be dissolved. So your shared investments or your shared resources from another person can actually be separated. And I say that because the full moon indicates this chapter of your life coming to a close or reaching some sort of conclusion. This full moon has positive aspects associated with it. It will be trining Saturn in Pisces at 2 degrees, which is in your 4th house. Again, this is pertaining to your property and living circumstances or your family dynamics. And also, the full moon will be sextiling Jupiter in Taurus at 5 degrees in your 6th house. So this does represent something to do with loans, debts, and yeah, I'll leave that there. Lastly, with the full moon in your 8th house, you could receive some kind of profound healing, whether this is you visiting a healthcare practitioner, trying out some sort of new health regime or modality, or you could be perhaps receiving like a psychic reading, a tarot reading, or an astrology reading. And this could be something which really, really hits you at your core and just illuminates a whole lot of stuff for you when it comes to your emotional world, your past, your childhood. And this could even be to do with your family life, again, because it's in Cancer and at 4 degrees, which is the Cancerian degree. Now, on the 28th/29th of December, Mars in Sagittarius in your 1st house will be conjunct Mercury retrograde at 23 degrees. And so Mars in Sagittarius is going to square Neptune in Pisces in your 4th house at 25 degrees. Now, ordinarily, this is a difficult transit, but Neptune will be forming a grand trine with the moon in Cancer at 28 degrees and Venus in Scorpio at 28 degrees. So the 1st house is about you, your path, the action that you're taking, your physical body, your decisions, you and what you're doing, right? The 4th house rules over your family, parents, children, your property and living circumstances, your ancestors, as well as your emotions, and to be fair, anyone that you actually live with. So Mars square Neptune in the fourth house indicates that there could be some kind of difficulty or complications when it comes to your relationship with your family, your decisions about your property and living circumstances, and where you want to move, whether you want to buy, whether you want to sell, where you want to relocate to. On a different note, there could be some kind of discord between you and your parents, you and your children, or you and a flatmate or someone that you live with. At the end of the day, I do see this as an emotionally turbulent time. However, with Neptune making a grand trine with the moon and with Venus, there is some support coming in with the moon and Venus at 28 degrees, which is the Cancer degree. I see that there's someone in your family who's supportive of you. There is someone who has your back. The moon and Venus are both relationship planets. So maybe this is a family member, a different family member. This could be your significant other if they're not involved. Or this could be one of your other children who's really helping you to navigate this energy. On a positive note, let's end on a positive, Sagittarius. On the 31st of December, Jupiter, which is your ruling planet, will station direct in Taurus in your 6th house. So with Jupiter having been retrograde for the last 5 months, there could have been, in your 6th house, there could have been disruptions to your health, to your work life, your day-to-day habits and routines, owing people money, mortgages, debts, etc. Jupiter direct in your 6th house is indicating that things can now move forward without any other complications. That's not to say there'll never be complications, but what I mean is Jupiter will not be retrograde again in the sign of Taurus. So Jupiter's going to finish its direct motion through your 6th house until the end of May in 2024. So things can progress with your health, with your career, with money that you owe other people or money that is owed to you. And I'm not going to lie, as a Sagittarius, especially as a Sag rising, or if you have a Sag stellium, having your ruling planet go through the 6th house is bringing up health stuff for you guys. And this is seeing you overcome those health issues. You're getting past the worst of it. And, it's not easy having your ruling planet go through the 6th house as it is. So, there's good news on the horizon for you Sagittarians. So as I mentioned right at the beginning, Venus will be entering Sagittarius around the 29th or the 30th of December. So with Venus in your 1st house by the end of the month and your ruling planet stationing direct, you're going to be feeling really, really good by the end of December. Okay, so thank you, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings. That's all I have for you for December. If you enjoyed your horoscope, please give the video a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Okay, we've got 3 signs left. What's next is Capricorn. Okay, so Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Risings. Oh my God, this has been going for 3 hours nearly. This, I think, will be the longest video I've ever done live. Okay, I digress. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Risings. Venus will be transiting the sign of Scorpio in your 11th house from, now, as of today, Venus is at 0 degrees. So Venus entered Scorpio on the 4th/5th of December, depending where you live in the world. And it's going to be there until the 29th or the 30th of December. So wherever Venus goes, this is going to bring aid or some kind of benefit or peace or harmony through to that house. Venus in the 11th house is really, really fortunate. So this brings blessings to your long-term goals and dreams. You can be receiving praise or acknowledgement for all of your hard work, whether this is to do with your career, with your business, or even just work that you've been doing in the community. Some of you may be receiving awards during this period of time. And for others of you, you can receive dividends with or through your investments. Maybe there's an increase in one of your passive forms of income. You may even receive a government payout, especially because Venus rules over your 10th house, which represents the government. And on a different level, something that you have done creatively with Venus ruling the 5th house that you release online or that is seen by a wide audience can be positively received. And the 11th house also rules over your fan base. So if you are in the public eye, or even if you have a social media page, you could be receiving more attention on that page, or your fan base or your following could be increasing in some respect. Now, on the 12th of December, there will be a new moon in Sagittarius at 20 degrees, and this is occurring in your 12th house. The 12th house is a hidden house. So this new chapter that's starting could be something that you keep to yourself, that's quite private, and you may not be sharing this with other people. In any case, I'm going to run through what the 12th house rules over so that you can get an idea of where this new chapter may be starting in your life. So the 12th house rules over spirituality, yoga, meditation, healing. It is also connected to our hidden fears, our past lives, our intuition, as well as our subconscious and the ways in which we self-sabotage. And it's also connected to self-sacrifice. So some of you may embark on a new healing journey. You may start up a yoga or meditation practice. You may get involved with something to do with spirituality. This could involve you educating yourself in one or more of these areas. And I say that because the ruler of the new moon is Jupiter, and Jupiter will be in Taurus, trining Mercury in Capricorn in your first house. And in any case, Sagittarius is all about higher learning. So you could be learning about yoga, meditation, tarot, astrology. You could be taking classes or enrolling in some kind of course. Because this new moon is at 20 degrees, which is the Scorpio degree, hidden fears or things that you had buried in your subconscious may be bubbling up to the surface around this period of time. So that is something that may be brought to your attention. You may be feeling quite emotional around the 12th of December, give or take a few days. And, in order to combat feeling emotional, or having these fears come up to the surface, I would recommend journaling, meditating, maybe trying to write down and make sense of your dreams, or just having a conversation with someone who has a lot of higher knowledge or wisdom of spiritual matters. Now, on the 13th of December, Mercury is going to station retrograde in Capricorn in your first house at 8 degrees. So for sure, all Capricorns are going to be affected, but especially those who are between 0 and 8 degrees. So it's going to be retrograde until the 23rd of December, at which point it will move into Sagittarius. Mercury retrograde in the first house can see you reconsidering your physical appearance, how you dress, how you present, how you do your hair, how you do your makeup, what you're wearing, even how you're talking. You may discover that there are habits, especially with Mercury ruling over your 6th house, that you have, and you're like, oh, I don't like this. I want to cut this out. For example, when I first started my YouTube channel, I used to pre-record all of my videos and then I used to edit them. And I can't tell you how much I learned about myself and my own idiosyncrasies during that time. And I really worked on my style of delivery. I noticed that I would often start a sentence and then interrupt myself and then forget what I was saying, which is like seriously such a Gemini rising problem. as Capricorns. Unless you have Gemini, you probably don't have that issue. I digress. See, already I'm doing it. So, Mercury retrograde in the first house can see you really reconsidering how you're coming across, how you want to come across, how you want to present yourself. And because Mercury rules over your ninth house, you could be rethinking your travel plans, whether you want to move abroad. If you live overseas, maybe you're like, I don't want to live overseas anymore. Maybe you're thinking about coming back home. With Mercury ruling over your sixth house, you could be reconsidering what you want to do for work and also your health regime. The sixth house rules over your health and your habits and routines. So maybe you're thinking about your long-term future with Mercury ruling over the ninth house and understanding that you're going to need to make some serious changes for you to be able to achieve your goals and dreams for the future. Now, on the 23rd of December, Mercury will retrograde from Capricorn in your first house back into Sagittarius in your 12th house. So again, we're touching upon topics like healing, yoga, meditation, spirituality, your fears, subconscious buried feelings, and the ways in which we self-sabotage. So Mercury retrograde here in your 12th house can see you having some awareness of this, awareness of how you may be contributing to your own suffering when it comes to the work that you do, okay, with Mercury ruling over your sixth house and your health. So it's about understanding different health practices that you can engage in to improve your health just generally across the board on a different level. This can see you understanding what it is that you fear about the future, what it is that you fear about just taking that next step. For those of you who used to be involved with yoga or meditation, or maybe even some sort of intuitive or occult practice, this can see you going back to that. So maybe you are picking up your tarot cards again, maybe you're going back to an astrologer, maybe you're having another reading with a psychic or a hypnotherapist. On a different note, the 12th house is connected to healing just in general. So Mercury retrograde in the 12th house can see you purging a lot of buried emotions, maybe writing or journaling about it. I would certainly recommend it, and actually making peace with certain episodes from your past. Now, if I didn't say it already, Mercury will station direct again on the 1st of January. So the entire window is 13th of December till the 1st of January. Having said that, we are in the pre-shadow period right now as we speak, and there will be a 2-week post-shadow period. So that'll be until around mid-January. Now, on the 27th of December, there will be a full moon in Cancer at 4 degrees, and this is occurring in your 7th house. Full moons are all about the end of a chapter or the end of a cycle, or it could even just be something being illuminated for you, seeing things how they really are, or something being brought to your attention. Because this is in your 7th house, this certainly does involve your relationship with one or more people in your life. Because this full moon is in Cancer at 4 degrees, which is the Cancerian degree, this is likely to involve your relationship with a family member, perhaps a parent or your child or your children. And for others of you, this could be your significant other, or because it's the Cancer degree, this could be someone that you live with, whether this is a flatmate or, whoever you live with, really. So you could be having a clarifying conversation with one or more of those aforementioned individuals about where you live. Maybe you are moving out, maybe your child is moving out, maybe you and your significant other are ending your relationship and going separate ways. On a different level, it could simply be that your rental agreement is up and maybe it's not being renewed, or maybe you are relocating and you're just putting those final touches in for your paperwork. It doesn't have to be so why so serious? No, it doesn't have to be so serious. It's like it could just be a clarifying conversation that you have with a family member. In any case, there are positive aspects associated with this full moon. The full moon will be trining Saturn in Pisces. So this is your ruling planet. The full moon is making a positive aspect to your ruling planet, which means that this full moon is benefiting you somehow. You are experiencing stability or grounding from it, or some kind of support, or you're happy with the conclusion that has been reached with another person. The full moon is also sextiling Jupiter in Taurus at 5 degrees, and this is in your 5th house. So again, this could be tying in your child, your children, or your romantic partner. In any case, let's wrap this up in a nutshell. A positive conclusion or resolution is reached that involves another person around the 27th of December. Now, on the 28th/29th of December, depending where you live in the world, Mars in Sagittarius in your 12th house is going to square Neptune in Pisces in your 3rd house at 25 degrees. So basically, the 3rd house rules over friends, siblings, relatives, clients, co-workers, etc. And with the 12th house, first of all, let me just say Mars-Neptune square can indicate confusion in some way, or just emotions running high, emotional manipulation, confusion about what action to take or what decisions to make. Okay, so with that, you could just be experiencing confusion about, how do I move forward? How do I navigate this conversation? What should I say to my sibling? What should I say to my friends? What should I say to my extended relatives? Maybe you are concerned that they won't understand your spiritual beliefs or practices or decisions that you're making to benefit you. This could indicate that you are needing to erect stronger boundaries with one or more of these individuals, and that could create a little bit of discord between you and the other person. In any case, I do think that the full moon in Cancer 1 or 2 days before will be heavily supporting you during this period of time. And also, during the Mars-Neptune square, Neptune is going to form a grand trine with the moon in Cancer at 28 degrees and Venus in Scorpio at 28 degrees. So there is still some supportive energy that's acting as a bit of a buffer. So Capricorn, that's all I have for you for December 2023. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give the video a thumbs up. Also, of course, it's going to be Capricorn season just before Christmas. So happy birthday to all of you Capricorn suns out there. I'm now going to move on to Aquarius. I've just got 2 signs left. So whoever is still in the chat, thanks for sticking around. And let's move on to Aquarius momentarily. I don't think I'm going to make it to the beach, guys. Looks like the weather's changed a bit. Okay, so Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings. Venus is going to be transiting your 10th house in the sign of Scorpio from the 4th or the 5th of December through till the 29th or the 30th of December. So those dates depend on where you live in the world. Having said that, right now, as I'm filming, Venus is at 0 degrees Scorpio, so it's already there. Venus going through the 10th house is very positive when it comes to your career and your professional responsibilities, or even just your leadership responsibilities in general. So this can be a time where you are getting along well with your boss, where your boss or your superiors are looking at your work favorably. This is a great time to ask your boss for annual leave or a break, or if you want like an increase in pay, or if you're looking for more benefits. Venus going through the 10th house can indicate that relationship is going well, or that there's peace and harmony that is brought to this connection or to this relationship. If you own your own business, if you're self-employed, If you're a freelancer, contractor, this can indicate that your work is being received well. You can be in the public eye a bit more. You can receive acknowledgement or praise for whatever it is that you are doing or contributing. If you are a parent, this can indicate that you are having an easier time when it comes to your parental responsibilities. And the same can be said if you are a grandparent. And for others of you, this can indicate that there are positive changes that are occurring in your family life, as represented by Venus ruling over the fourth house, that are helping to bolster your image in a public sense. So for some of you, maybe your child is in the public eye, or maybe they have done something that's made you really proud as a parent. And on a different level, whatever action you are taking and putting out there, whether this is online, whether this is socially speaking, this can see you being received well, making positive impressions on other people. Now, Aquarius, on the 12th of December, there will be a new moon in Sagittarius, 20 degrees, and this will be occurring in your 11th house. New moons are all about a new chapter taking place, planting the seeds to see something new. So this can indicate that there is a new long-term goal that you are actualizing at this time, or planting the seeds for at this time. You may be applying for an award. You may be applying to receive recognition for work that you have done professionally speaking. You may be starting a new social media platform or channel. You may be developing a new community. You may be involved in a new friendship group. You may be making new friends during this period of time. You may be starting a new form of passive income, or just laying the land and getting it ready, as in to generate a new form of income. You may be applying for government assistance, and some of you may be applying for a scholarship, especially because Sagittarius rules over learning. And we've got the ruler of the new moon, which is Jupiter, making an opposition to Venus at 9 degrees, which is the which is the Sagittarius degree, which is connected to learning. Okay, so I do see this as a positive new chapter starting for you, Aquarians, something that you're excited about, something that's a lucrative business opportunity. It is at 20 degrees, this new moon, which means that there may be some kind of risk involved. It may involve investors. You may actually be getting someone to invest in your business idea, so some sort of benefactor, or someone to just back you financially speaking. Or the nature of this new chapter that's starting could be a little bit taboo, could be a little bit out there, especially because it is at that Scorpio degree. I mean, that's why it would be. So on the 13th of December, Mercury is going to station retrograde in Capricorn at 8 degrees in your 12th house, and it's going to slide back into Sagittarius on the 23rd of December. So Mercury retrograde in your 12th house indicates that you may be spending a bit of time alone during this period. So maybe you're tending towards activities done in isolation. You could be focusing on things like meditation or yoga or spirituality, and just delving deeper into these topics. You could be engaging the services of a healer or a spiritual practitioner who you've seen before. So that could be getting another tarot reading, going back to an astrologer that you've seen before, or a psychic or a hypnotherapist, and so on and so forth. Mercury retrograde in the 12th house can see you really delving into how you may be sabotaging yourself, especially when it comes to relationships. I say this because Mercury rules over your 5th house, which represents your love life, and it also rules wait, what am I on? Aquarius. Yeah, your 5th house is Gemini, so Mercury rules the 5th house, but it also rules over your 8th house, which is Virgo, and this is your sex life. So love life plus sex life. So this is potentially you Aquarians going, how can I work through these issues in my sex life or in my romantic life? Am I sabotaging this? Why is this not working out for me? If you are already in a relationship, fears and insecurities may be bubbling up to the surface. That is not to say that the relationship is wrong or isn't working. It's just like, how can I work through this? How can I improve this relationship? And what can I do to, really back myself and just look at self-development, really. Now, on a different note, the fifth house, which Mercury rules over, represents your children. So some of you may be looking at your fears and insecurities that are coming up about your children and how they're doing in their life. Maybe you are not going, maybe you're going through a little bit of a rough patch with your child or with one or more of your children, and this can see you trying to figure out ways to improve that connection or improve that relationship. This transit's nothing to be afraid of. It's just a time of deep introspection and healing, or certainly it's an opportunity for healing and introspection. Now, on the 23rd of December, Mercury is going to Mercury is going to retrograde from Capricorn into the sign of Sagittarius. So Mercury will be retrograde in your 11th house in Sag till the 1st of January. So this can see you rethinking your long-term goals and plans for the future. You may have to make changes. You may have to pivot, especially if your long-term goals involve owning your own business, with Mercury ruling the 5th, and mutual resources that you share with another person, with Mercury ruling over the 8th. So this can see you reactivating social media accounts or platforms, or if you've already been on them steadily, you may be deactivating them for a while. You may just be making changes to your online social media presence. So maybe you're making changes to your website, maybe you're making changes to the aesthetic. You could be reconnecting with a community that you used to be involved with, or a large group of friends on a different level. If you have applied for a scholarship or government assistance of some kind, your application may require more information. So you may have to resubmit. There may be things missing. If you are receiving benefits from the government, the figure that you receive may be changing, or there may be a delay in receiving that. The 11th house also rules over passive forms of income and residual forms of income. So there may be changes to those income streams, whether you are earning more money, less money. For example, maybe you're increasing the rent that you're charging your tenants on a different level. Your tenants may be late with their payments. So any form of passive income that you have could be subject to changes or delays during this period of time. Now, on the 27th of December, there will be a full moon in Cancer at 4 degrees, and this will be occurring in your 6th house. The 6th house rules over health, work, debts, habits, and routines, as well as like decluttering, tidying up, and organization. So full moons indicate the ending of a chapter taking place. It indicates a situation reaching full circle, or a situation being illuminated and brought to your attention. So with this full moon, fortunately, it's making positive aspects. The full moon in Cancer will be trining Saturn in Pisces at 2 degrees in your 2nd house, and it will be sextiling Jupiter in Taurus at 5 degrees in your 10th house. So with this full moon in your 6th house, you may be receiving positive news when it comes to your health. Maybe you had a bit of a health scare and the doctor comes back, or the healthcare practitioner comes back and gives you a clean bill of health. Even if you're not fully out of the woods yet, this indicates that it could be a step in the right direction. For others of you, maybe you've had an undiagnosed health issue, or you haven't known what the problem is for a really extended period of time, and now you're finally getting answers. On a different note, this can indicate that you may be getting tax money back. You may be receiving money that is owed to you, whether these are whether this is coming from, well, let's see, who would this be coming from? A family member, because we've got the full moon in Cancer. Jupiter rules over your 11th house, so it could be money from a friend, and it also rules over your second house. So maybe you are paying off some kind of debt. On a different level, this can see you having a positive outcome when it comes to successfully organizing things for your house, your home. Maybe you're buying, selling, maybe you are redecorating. On a different level, the sixth house rules over habits and routines. So this can see you having successfully gotten past a bad habit that you have, or maybe even an addiction that you've wanted to kick for a while. Now, on the 28th/29th of December, Mars in Sagittarius in your 11th house is going to square Neptune in Pisces in your second house at 25 degrees. Oh my God. Sorry. I knocked my candle and I was like, anyway, distracted myself. I'm just going to take this moment to compose myself before I continue. So, on the 28th/29th of December, Mars in Sagittarius in your 11th house will square Neptune in Pisces in your second house at 25 degrees. This is a difficult aspect to handle. However, Neptune will be forming a grand trine with the moon in Cancer at 28 degrees and Venus in Scorpio at 28 degrees. So somehow your finances and your resources are tied into the mix, what you're spending money on. And then we've got the 11th house, which represents friends and your long-term goals and dreams. So one of your long-term goals or dreams may be foiled or waylaid by your financial situation. That's not to say that you can't overcome this problem or this issue. It could just be that the timing of things is called into question. Maybe you are having to invest more of your personal resources and sink more of your own income into a shared investment than what you would have wanted. This can indicate disagreements with friends over money, or perhaps older siblings, because the 11th house rules older siblings. Look, if I can give some advice, this is just general advice because I'm not qualified to give financial advice, but if there is a decision that you need to make which requires you to invest large sums of money, if it's possible to buy yourself a bit more time, pardon the pun, I would do so, because Mars square Neptune can indicate this mental fog. It's like, I want to take action, Mars in Sagittarius, but the action that I'm taking just leads to nothing, which is Neptune. So this can indicate feeling really frustrated or experiencing heightened emotions. So I would just guard against that. But having said that, just remember that the full moon energy is still carrying you through here. So the full moon is trining Saturn in Pisces. So you'll be able to marshal your thoughts and contain your emotions. And, if it's possible to avoid making rash decisions around the end of the month, I would do so. Okay, so that's all I have for you, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings. I'm now going to be moving on to Pisces. Pisces, thank you for being so patient and waiting around. I promise I'm going to give this my best. I have more energy than I normally do by the end of my horoscopes. So let's get into it, Pisces. I have really good news for you guys too. We've got both of your ruling planets stationing direct this month. And honestly, your sign is quite impacted by by some of the transits that we've got going on. So there is good news on the horizon for you, Pisces. Having said that, let's start from the top. Okay, so on the 4th/5th of December, depending where you live in the world, Venus is going to enter the sign of Scorpio. Right now, Venus is at 0 degrees Scorpio, so that's already happened. Venus will be in Scorpio till around the 29th or the 30th of December, depending where you live in the world. Venus will be transiting your 9th house, which means it is trining you. So you're going to be feeling like you're more optimistic about the future. Your vision for your future will be more clear to you. You'll have better decision-making abilities during this period of time. With Venus in the 9th house, there is a focus on education, travel, and your belief systems. So some of you may be enrolling in a new education course or program. You don't have to enroll in an official capacity. You could just be learning something new, or you could just be enjoying learning about new things. Some of you may have an opportunity to travel during this 3.5-week period. Even if you're not doing traveling during that time, you could be planning your trip, okay? Because Venus rules over your 3rd house, which is Taurus, and that's about making these plans for the future. Now, on a different note, you could be enjoying communicating with friends or even relatives who live overseas. On a different level, the 9th house rules over religion, spirituality, and your belief systems. So you could be enjoying engaging in your spiritual practices or your religious practices. You could be feeling more confident about the future, and you could be enjoying delving into philosophical beliefs. You could be reading books which are really expanding your mind, especially because we've got Venus ruling over the 3rd house, which represents books, and it being in the 9th house, which indicates that you're taking what you're reading and applying it to your life. And this is contributing positively to your life experiences. The 9th house rules over guidance and counselors. So you could actually have an important conversation with someone who you really respect, who shares words of wisdom with you, which you really benefit from. Now, on a different level, we've got, sorry, just bear with me, guys. We've got the 9th house ruling over legal matters and court cases. So if you are involved with these, you could find that you're reaching resolutions with certain legal matters that either don't involve the court system, or perhaps it's a win-win outcome for you and the other person, or maybe it's just a win for you. In any case, Venus through the 9th house can indicate some kind of positive development with respect to legal proceedings. And, even if you're not having wins per se, it could just be that you're feeling hopeful about the future. Now, on the 12th of December, there will be a new moon in Sagittarius at 20 degrees in your 10th house. So the 10th house rules over your career, and it rules over any kind of position of leadership that you hold, as well as your status in the world and in society. So already we're seeing your sign Pisces being really activated by the astrological events of this month, because the new moon occurring in your 10th house indicates that there is some kind of action happening on a really practical level. Okay, so for some of you, this can indicate that you are starting a new job. You may be having more work responsibilities. You may be deciding to freelance or start your own business. If you already own your own business, there could be a new chapter starting there. So maybe you are launching new services. Maybe you're taking your business in a different direction. Some of you may be having a new boss come on board. And with this new moon in Sagittarius, it will be squaring you, right? So there is additional effort that you're needing to put in. But having said that, the ruler of the new moon is in Taurus, and it is trining Mercury in Capricorn, and then Jupiter will be opposite Venus. So Jupiter and Venus are both benefics, and they're making this aspect to one another. So I do think that there will be some kind of movement when it comes to career, especially if things have been stagnant for a while. This new moon is at Sagittarius, is at 20 degrees, which is the Scorpio degree. So there may be something very unexpected that comes through with this new moon. On a different note, your title in the workplace could be changing, or even just your leadership responsibilities in general. So maybe you are taking on a new level of responsibility for communities that you are part of. And I say that because Mercury will be in Capricorn in your 11th house, which rules over these groups and these communities. And then we've got Jupiter in your 3rd house, which represents friends. So you could be coming into the limelight in your social circle for one reason or another. And for others of you, this could indicate that there's perhaps a change in relationship status for you. And I say that because Jupiter is your ruling planet and it's opposite Venus, which is a relationship planet. So maybe you are announcing to someone or in a public way the existing relationship status that you have. So this could mean that you've entered into a new relationship and you're letting people know, or that you've gone through a breakup and that you're letting people know. Moving along, the next day, we've got Mercury retrograde in Capricorn in your 11th house. So Mercury will station retrograde at 8 degrees. And with it being retrograde in the 11th house, this can indicate that you're rethinking your long-term goals and dreams. You're making changes to how you want to approach those. You may have to go back to investors and renegotiate the terms of your contracts with them or your arrangement with them on a different level. If you had applied for some kind of government assistance, you may have to supply more information, or you may have to send through a new application altogether. Just one moment, guys. Sorry, just a sec. Coughing once in 3.5 hours is pretty good. 3.5 hours straight of talking. So, as I was saying, Mercury is retrograde in your 11th house. So some of you may be reactivating social media accounts. You may be posting more on those, or you may be taking a little bit of a break from social media. You could be getting back in touch with friends that you haven't been talking to recently. You could hear from them, or they could hear from you. You may be invited to community activities or events that involve your friends. And this could be a really nice time of you reuniting with people who you've lost touch with. For others of you, this could indicate that there are changes coming through to your passive forms of income or a passive form of income. So this could be like the rent money that you get paid. This could be to do with dividends, royalties, and for some of you, there could be a delay coming through with passive forms of income. And just as an example, I get income from YouTube for the ads, so Google ads. And if it were me in this situation, it could be that for some reason there's a delay in my pay, but that's not like my everyday salary. On a different note, if you have been feeling like your friendships are not balanced, or if there's been some kind of discord there, Mercury retrograde in the 11th house will present you with an opportunity to iron out those issues and really get on the same page with your friends. But after this period, you may find that you just don't have you just don't have as many things in common with friends. So you may actually be rethinking the longevity or the long-term success of certain relationships. Now, with Mercury ruling over your fourth house and being retrograde in the 11th house, you could be rethinking your long-term plans and goals when it comes to property and living circumstances, or matters in general to do with property. Now, on the 23rd of December, Mercury will retrograde from Capricorn back into the sign of Sagittarius in your 10th house. It will be retrograde until the 1st of January. So it will be squaring Pisces, but the ones who will feel it the most will be Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Risings between 22 and 29 degrees. So Mercury retrograde in your 10th house can indicate that you are potentially going back to a job or a workplace that you used to work at. You could be taking up responsibilities that you used to have to do in the workplace. You may want to extend your leave, so your annual leave, or perhaps this is parental leave. Some of you may decide that you want to retire, or you could be rethinking your retirement plan. If you've already been retired, some of you may actually be re-entering the workforce, or perhaps if you've been looking after your kids, you may be re-entering the workforce after an extended break. On a different level, some of you may just need to take a bit of a break from work. This could be for any number of reasons, but it could, well, obviously this is the Christmas holidays, so maybe you're just having a break during this period of time. Your parental responsibilities could be changing around this time, especially if you are, let's just say, for example, that you and your ex have been co-parenting and you've been, sharing custody 50-50. That may change in one direction or another. On a different level, if you look after someone else's kids, maybe your sister's or your brother's kids, or maybe your grandparent, the time periods where you look after them could be shifting. And on a different level, this could see you actually reconsidering or rethinking your relationship status altogether. And I say that because Mercury rules over your 7th house, which represents relationships. So maybe you're wondering whether you still want to be with this person, or perhaps you are considering whether to make a new relationship public. The status of your relationship could just be changing in general, so maybe you've been on a break and now you're getting back together, or perhaps you were just exclusively dating and now you're talking about becoming more serious, and so on and so forth. Now, on the 27th of December, there will be a full moon in Cancer at 4 degrees in your 3rd house, and it will be trining Saturn in Pisces in your 1st house, which is a very, very favorable aspect for you. And it will also be sextiling Jupiter in Taurus. And Jupiter is, of course, your ruling planet. So it's trining Saturn in Pisces in the 1st house and sextiling your ruling planet. So to me, this indicates that there is some sort of positive chapter coming to a close here. So you could be successfully completing a project with another person or with a team. You could be completing an education course or a qualifications course. You could be receiving a license for something or finishing up an apprenticeship. You could be launching a new website or new products or services for sale on your website. You could be finishing a documentary or a writing piece or a piece of some form of content creation. If you have presentations to give or important meetings that you're a part of, these could be going really well around the 27th of December. On a different note, the 3rd house rules over friends and siblings and extended relatives. So you could be enjoying time with them. You could be socializing with them more. There could be a deepening or a strengthening of these connections. Or perhaps there's some sort of positive thing happening in the life of one of your siblings, or with a close friend, or with, an extended relative. Now, lastly, with this one, any kind of important conversation that you have can really go well at this during this period of time. Because the third house rules over conversations and how we communicate. So if you're communicating with friends, siblings, relatives, co-workers, this can be there can be a positive outcome there. Now, on the 28th of December, or the 29th, depending where you live in the world, Mars in Sagittarius in your 10th house will square Neptune in Pisces in your first house at 25 degrees. Even though this is ordinarily a difficult aspect to encounter, fortunately, Neptune is forming a grand trine with the moon in Cancer at 28 degrees and Venus in Scorpio at 28 degrees. So the 10th house is your career, your public standing, how you're showing up in the world, how you're being perceived in the public eye. It's really your reputation, so to speak. And then the first house is your physical body, the path that you were taking, the actions and the decisions that you were making. So Mars in the 10th square Neptune in the first can indicate that there may be confusion when it comes to what next step you want to take with your career, potentially confusion or a misunderstanding between you and your boss. So do just be careful around that period of time. I know a lot of you won't be working at the very end of the month. So, maybe you'll be on holidays. So for some of you, it may not be relevant. But on a different note, this can just be you feeling a bit forlorn or fearful about the next step you want to take with your career or with leadership responsibilities, or maybe this is to do with becoming a parent or your parental responsibilities. This could actually be a misunderstanding that takes place between you and your father or a father figure. In any case, I am confident that the full moon in Cancer, which occurred the day, if not the day before, in Cancer, will be holding you in good stead to navigate any kind of confusion that may arise around the 28th or the 29th of December. As I mentioned at the very beginning, Neptune is direct in Pisces, and that's actually tomorrow on the 6th of December. And on the 31st of December, Jupiter will be direct in Taurus in your 6th house. So this indicates that action that you want to take can finally start to move forward, especially after Jupiter's direct in Taurus. This can see you experiencing positive forward momentum with work, with your health. If there have been health issues or concerns, Jupiter going direct in Taurus can see you experiencing some kind of positive outcome there, or at least seeing an avenue forward, like how to move forward or what the next thing is to do with respect to how to improve your health. And Jupiter direct in your 6th house can indicate that expenses that you have can ease off, and that you can just feel like you're more in charge, more in control, that you are organizing your life better, you're feeling more motivated about your work and your daily habits and routines. So Pisces, that's all I have for you for December 2023. That concludes this whole 3-hour and 42-minute video. So thank you so much for those of you who were here with me in the chat watching it live. And of course, thank you to whoever is watching this on replay. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I've got love horoscopes for 2024 dropping in a few days. So if you want to see what your love horoscope looks like for the next year, make sure that you check out the next video that'll be coming through, like I said, in the next few days. And Of course, I'm on Instagram and Facebook if you want to follow my social media channel there. It's just CAISTROLOGY, at CAISTROLOGY. Thanks again, everyone. Wishing you many blessings for December, for the rest of the year. And I'll be back with more videos soon. Bye.